Hi, Jack. We're live. Welcome to the Wild Wild West podcast. My name is Richie Riche of the MHRT Network. Over that way, you got Mr. DZ representing his Los Angeles Chargers. Down below, we got Mr. Jack Canada representing the Raiders. All right, and I, of course, am Richie Riche representing my Denver Broncos, which is what the MHRT network is all about, all of Denver, Colorado sports. So, we have some interesting news to talk about today in terms of outcomes of games. The Broncos are on a 10-game winning streak, which is pretty spectacular, not going to lie. This is a throwback to kind of what we were seeing when Manning was with us, where we would kind of go these fits and spurts in terms of win streaks and stuff. So it's nice to be back kind of in that category again. But the rest of the division is got some interesting news and stuff as well in terms of either how well they're doing, how well certain players are doing. And of course, we have some interdivisional adjacent news that came out this week with Mr. I want to have a football team size family signing with the Colts. No, I jest, but honestly, Philip Rivers was always a guy that I had a lot of respect for in the league. I thought he played the game the right way.
He was a fun watch, man.
And he really was just a cool dude on the
He gets
on the
a lot
field.
of haters for reason I have no clue why. Like,
look, there's a lot of dudes out there that wish that they could have kids in the multiples that he has had. Like, we'll leave it at that. So,
and also with him too, it's like, he never cursed. He would always get in your face type player as a quarterback, but he would never curse.
He was like an A+ trash talker without the cursing. It was a bizarre sight to see because I couldn't do it. I'll tell you that.
Right.
Your mother was a hamster and your father smelt of elderberries.
Right.
And that was kind of like that was kind of like a Philip Rivers thing, right? Although that was pure Monty Python for those.
He had like a southern twist on it.
Yeah,
southern Monty Python twist.
And the bolo tie was his thing. Like he literally made that popular.
Dude.
Now, DZ, as a Chargers fan, I've always wanted to ask folks this, and I never got a straight answer out of the other co-hosts that we've had on the Wild Wild West show. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you: did the Chargers ever capitalize on the bolo tie thing with Philip Rivers and release a Chargers version of it?
No, I don't think so. And I think I'm like hearkening back to the Rivers days. I think this first bolo tie that he wore, if I'm not mistaken, was a fan made it for him. And like a Chargers fan down in San Diego made it for him. But he had like rattlesnake boots that he would wear and a big buckle and stuff like that. And then he just made it a thing, which was really cool to see. And obviously it was unique at the time, especially for a quarterback playing in San Diego. San Diegans aren't thought of country western, even though many wouldn't realize it. Like once you get away from the coast in San Diego, it gets kind of country real quick. So, I mean, there's a ton of horse farms there and cattle, and you just don't think about it, especially what they show you. But yeah,
they don't in California. It's like, I live in the capital in Sacramento. You go 20 minutes out, you got nothing but farm fields.
Yeah, cool, Kev. That's hilarious.
What's up, Kev?
Supposedly, so like I guess his oldest son is older than the backup quarterback that the Colts currently have right now.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Wow.
That's crazy. Yeah,
he's literally a grandpa. I mean, this guy, high school football is over, right? There's no high school football going on. I think championships have like kind of just round up like this last week or two.
Yeah, he was coaching.
Yeah, he coaches for his son. It's a private school in Alabama. I forget the name of it. It's a Catholic school. He's Catholic. It's like he got the call at the right time. He's like tired of doing laundry and watching the grandkid or whatever. He's like, yeah, sure, I can go swing it or whatever. He says, he had some pressers earlier. I didn't really catch them, but I caught some clips. he says like he watches Colts and Chargers games every Sunday. He doesn't miss a snap. So I thought that was kind of interesting. A lot of these retired QBs kind of just go do their own thing, don't really pay attention to the game as much. So he still knows what's going on. It would be interesting. They've got a good O-line in Indianapolis and a run game, even though it hasn't looked that good recently because I'm a Jonathan Taylor owner in fantasy and hasn't been the same, but we shall see, man. It's going to be interesting to see a 44-year-old who hasn't played in 5 years try to right the ship in Indianapolis because they've kind of been on a downward slope the last few weeks.
I just wonder if he can actually do it. I mean, you look at him like on TV on NFL Network, and he definitely looks older. He definitely looks heavier, and I just wonder,
that's for sure.
And we always talk about like being in game shape or NFL shape, or what type of shape is he in after being out for so many years coaching high school football?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm almost kind of worried for him, like, getting destroyed with these 300-pound, tackles coming after him. Can he evade at this point? It's going to be really interesting to see,
I mean, Jack, sorry for interrupting, but he never evaded from anybody to begin with in his whole career. His only move was stepping up into the pocket. That was about it. If you ever saw him scramble, it was hilarious, and he rarely did it. But
just making guys miss. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, he was good at that. But look, it was a different time. He's a little heavier and older now. Now these guys are faster, younger, and so he's going to have to dip, dive, and do the whole shuffle in the pocket. But one thing about this is
Rivers did the moving in the pocket though.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
He always did the the shimmy shake. You know what I mean? Like yeah.
He retired as a Charger, right? And then he was eligible for the Hall of Fame this year. So him becoming a Colt, like null and voids all of that, which is weird.
For another 5 years, which is crazy.
I don't think it's a big deal. A lot of people are making that a big deal, but I think this guy is literally a definition of faith family football. That's like him. It's faith family football. But I was like, someone made a joke, and I was like, they're like, shouldn't the Chargers get a trade pick for this? And I'm like, that would have been nice, but yeah.
That big.
Look, he only has to do it. I mean, what do we got? 4 weeks left, and then if they can get in the playoffs, it's not going to be easy, man.
The crazy thing is that the one thing that Rivers has that these other quarterbacks, a lot of them don't, is there is literally nothing that he has not seen before. Like nothing.
His IQ is off the charts.
Yeah.
He just didn't have the elite talent some of the quarterbacks of his time had, but his IQ is off the charts. He sees things before they're happening. It's just, like I said, Cool Kev, his knuckleball, he had that awkward throwing style, and like we were talking, right? And like we were talking earlier, he just getting out of the pocket was not his thing, and we see how this hampers quarterbacks. I mean, Aaron Rodgers recently, like, he doesn't get out of the pocket, but when they do, you're like, whoa, that's a rare sight.
Yeah, and Bishop, I agree with you. I'm kind of worried about him, just because 5 years is a long time being out of NFL, and just looking at him and being older and heavier. We talk about Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers like never stopped, to have that much time off. So
that's true.
8-5 Colts. I wish, your Chargers haven't played, the Colts yet. That would be something to see. Your favorite player of all time, of the Chargers, then playing against them.
I've already seen the scenarios, and this is a lot of ifs, ifs and whatever. But if the Chargers were so lucky to make the playoffs, and if the Colts were so lucky to make the playoffs, that would be kind of interesting to see them two match up. It'd be bittersweet, but there's no love on game days, so I would hope they would kill him if we were playing him. But if him playing against the other people, I'm going to root for him. I don't think he plays this week for the Colts, but I could see him playing in like the next couple weeks.
But here's the one thing that I have heard from Broncos legends like Shannon Sharp and some others as they've retired and spoken about how just because they are definitely in football shape,
Right.
that once you go about 4 to 5 years out of the league and you don't play,
Yeah.
Shannon Sharp has said that when you get physically hit like that, you build out a like a callus. Like your body becomes accustomed to getting physically hit like that, and
Sure.
so you're able to like recover from those sorts of things better. And that's actually what I worry about with Phillip Rivers in this regard, right? Which is he's 44. He no longer has that. He's 44 years old.
He's a grandpa, yeah.
He is
Young
like,
grandpa, but yeah.
but 44 is not that old. Like, let's just be honest.
No,
That is not
no.
that old.
I'm 41, man, and
and
I
so-
couldn't imagine this.
I'm
Right, and
55, so he's got 12 years on me.
Yeah, but again, like 44 is not a. First off, for a 44-year-old to be playing football is like rare air in and of itself.
Yeah.
And then in and of itself, above and beyond that, he's gone 4. I think it's about 4 years now, right, where he hasn't been in the league.
Probably, yeah.
But
I think
about
5.
4 or almost 5, right? Like almost a full fifth.
If anybody in the chat, I mean, we can look it up. I think was it 2020 his last time playing with the Colts, or was it 21? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
But somebody also made up a good point, Richie. Is they're like he's had time off the league for his body to heal. So all those kind of war wounds that he's had in his career have had time to heal. So there's two sides to this sword, but yeah, let's just say that first hit that he takes, like he's gonna be like, oh wow, I probably didn't miss this. Yeah.
So
2020.
Oh, 2020.
Thanks,
Now-
Snap. Hey, salute, brother.
I got a question then. Is he then still technically eligible for the Hall of Fame?
After this,
No, but he
Gotta
went
wait
a
another
full
5 years.
he
went-
resets his clock.
Because there was talks about certain teams, like T.O. actually tried to get himself back in the league.
Yeah.
I know I can't remember how old he actually is, but he tried to get back in just a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I don't think he cares. I mean, I'm sure he cares, but like I said, I think he really wants to play. Like, I'm not saying it's going to happen because earmuffs, Richie. I don't have an AFC team winning the Super Bowl this year, but he never got a ring, and he's just still itching to play, right? So I think in the back of his crazy Alabama mind, he's like, man, I could do it. I could probably get a ring. And the Colts have a decent team, even though, like I said, they're on kind of that downward slide right now. But you never know.
Well, then I got a question for you guys. So, to come out of to get the possibility of Hall of Fame, and we've all seen from all our teams and around the NFL where great players don't make the Hall of Fame. Do you kind of feel like maybe he is a player that feels like I need to do this, and if I can get it, then I guarantee myself one of those gold jackets? Where if I don't do it, I may or may not be wearing one of them.
You brought up a good point, because there's a lot of people who don't think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. So
I don't think he is either.
Okay, but I think he is. And they either go like that, right? Like, because people are like Eli Manning, right? People are like, oh, he's a Hall of Famer. Right?
No, he's not.
And I agree with you, but, but they're gonna put him in because of his Super Bowls. So I think this is another way Philip probably going, look, there was probably some discussions. He knows people. They're probably like, man, you might not be a first ballot this year. You might have to wait. So he's like, shoot, well, I'll just go, dadgummit, I'll just go play some more ball, right? And say he wins a playoff game with the Colts this year. I mean, that's really going to do him some favors for the next time they go when he's eligible for the Hall of Fame, in my opinion. But I saw some stats with him next to Dan Fouts and Warren Moon, and he clears them, and they're both Hall of Famers. So, but look, like I said, I kind of said earlier, Richie, I'm like, there's a lot of people that don't like him. So there's that.
Well, as a rival, I'm not one of them, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect rivals to. Makes sense.
No, I'm not one of them that dislikes him. I actually think he's a great. He came off as like a truly like a class act. Like there was no. He was always on the opposing team for my Broncos and everything,
Right.
but it was super hard to dislike him. Do you know who was another guy that kind of fit that mold? Was Rob Gronkowski.
That's an interesting.
Right.
name. I didn't think you were going to go with that.
No, but I kind of put those two together. You know what I mean? Like you have Rob Gronkowski and you have Phillip Rivers. Like Rob Gronkowski was like he presented himself as an idiot jock.
That's
However, and he was always like goofing around and laughing and all that kind of stuff, which just made him a likable dude, right? Overall, just like you're like that. He's the dude that you're going to go partying with on a Saturday night because he's going to go up on the table and go wild and crazy, and you'd be like, at least I'm not that guy, right? And that's fine, but like he was always likable as a person within the league. And Phillip Rivers, despite being a rival quarterback and a darn good one at that, he was always likable. He was genuine. He was polite. He was classy in the way that he interacted overall in terms of before and after games. During games, different story, but that's fine.
Right.
Yeah. And I agree. I look at him as like a Derek Carr. You know, Derek Carr is like, very religious, very faithful, very like, good person off the field. And that's the way I see Phillip Rivers. And I also kind of see him in a way, but maybe not the same as like, a Dan Marino, type of player. He may not have that ring, but he is just, he's that good.
Yeah. I definitely miss his, like him talking at the podium, whether it's a practice or anything, because with Herbert's like a robot talking, he's very like cut and dry, and Rivers was super emotional, everything he let you know what was going on, what he saw, and after the games, before the games, it was great. And I think for like Richie, we're similar in age. Like we look back to those quarterbacks that we grew up with. We had a long period of time. Actually, the Broncos were going through quarterbacks at that time. So until you landed Peyton, then you kind of could adopt Peyton. It was that same era of quarterback.
Well, we had Cutler for a while, right? We got Cutler. And then he was a guy that just didn't work out for us in terms of our regime. And frankly, I thought that was probably a smart move at the end of the day. Yeah. But questionable decision at the time. But certainly set us up for that Super Bowl 50 win because of the extra picks that we got from the Cutler trade and all that other kind of stuff in order to set up the team to kind of get us to the point where we were at.
Can I answer this? I'm going to answer Nav's question real quick.
Hey, Nav, you got good style of clothing. I'll say that.
Yeah. Oh, God, my dog is now whining. Yes and no. I don't know if you watched the game, Nav. It was 70 minutes of a car wreck, and we're going to get into it. But that was two defenses trying to one-up each other all night. And last I checked, they were still even though these guys were on a downward slide, they are the defending Super Bowl champs. So, and then if you go, what's up, go Rams? Oh, boo Rams. But look, we share the stadium. Yeah. Anyways. Chargers defense they've been getting better. It's just Minter's got some guys that have got his number. Hey Rod, why don't you look up how much the Rams pay rent a month as well, a year? They pay rent.
The Rams rent the stadium. Oh, that's funny. What's up, Bishop?
Fun fact: they both pay the same amount every year.
It'd be really interesting to see when the Rams and the Chargers play each other. It's like who gets to be the home team? You know what I mean? Is it like a coin flip or how does that work out?
Neither team has home field advantage. I mean, I said that to you in a text today. Transplant cities like Vegas and LA, no home field advantage unless you're the
no
Dodgers.
home field advantage.
No, none at all. I mean, that Eagles game was 60% Eagles fans, and they were loud, but you know, it was pretty nice. It was pretty cool to see the trashiest fan base in all of sports have to pack their bags and fly across the country, upset, wondering why their team's on a 3-game skid. But hey, Nav, I mean, come on, let's not. Offense is a crapshoot. We know what's going on with the Chargers offense, and that has to do with the 5 guys up front. That's their whole malfunction going against the Eagles. I mean, God, this game, I would have given the game to the Eagles if Jalen Carter played, and thankfully Jalen Carter was not in the game because he did that too. He got 2, what are they, PRP or PRP shots in the shoulders or whatever they are. But if he was in the game, Eagles probably would have taken that game, hands down.
So let's get into that. We'll cover my Broncos last, but let's let's dive into the Chargers Eagles game and get a little recap on that one.
All right. Well, I wrote my notes. You guys ever write stuff down and you look back at it and you're going, how, like, you have trouble reading your own handwriting?
Yes, that's why I type everything.
I should have.
You type it all out. Nice. Or it's like, you write so much stuff down. You're like, okay, where did I, want to make that comment? Where did it go?
Yeah, I did my notes differently this week. And I wrote this stuff down instead of doing stats because I'll just pull up the stats on ESPN, but I'll just spitball it. Opening drive went really well for the Chargers. We all call these opening drives. I think we've mentioned it many times on the show throughout the weeks. Is they're scripted, right? That's your guys' game plans that you go with, and it went well. And to me, I should be smart enough by now to realize when you've got a great opening drive, the rest of the game is not going to go so well. As a Chargers fan, that's how I feel. And the opening drive went well. They had a big dump off to Vidal for 52 yards. I thought he could have housed it, but I think it was Zach Bond that hawked him down. I was pretty surprised.
Was it 52? I thought it was 60.
Huge. Could have been. I think it's 52, but 60, I'll take 60. And then Hampton, return of Hampton, which was definitely shows, bro. It doesn't help that we have 2 useless idiots up in the middle, and Bradley Bozeman and Mekhi Becton. Anyways, I'll get into that later. Hampton came back, which was great. He had another good run by Hampton, and then to cap it off, wide open pass for a touchdown, opening drive. I was like pleasantly shocked and surprised that the Eagles allowed that to happen. And then Eagles' next possession used Barkley. They got him going, and they found a little groove with it, bouncing him to the outside. He kept getting some good chunks pretty successfully. Then Goddard, who, he didn't have like a huge game like fantasy stat-wise, but was almost damn near uncoverable the whole night. And I think that particularly has to do with Minter's style of defense, running that zone style. A lot of these tight ends can slow release and just make hay happen. But he was really good.
Was your injury, like, your all-star, safety, like, was Goddard going off like when he was on the field, or was it like, kind of afterwards and
we had 2 safeties go down. One came back. I don't remember what point in the game, but Derwin got in with a tackle, and one of our own players, a D lineman, kneed him right on the top of the head. So probably compressed his neck. And to me, if you guys have ever had that happen in football, you get a stinger. So I think he got a massive stinger and had to get out of the game for a while. And they checked him out in the medical tent, and he came back later in the game, thank goodness. But we did lose Molden to what people were saying was a wrist, but it was just a hamstring, which sucks even more because soft tissues those things linger. They never seem to go away. So if he does have a soft tissue, that's not good news. Anyways, and then so the Eagles didn't score a touchdown. They kicked a field goal, so 7-3. And on the very next Chargers possession, the Eagles wisely started to blitz. That A gap was a nightmare, and the Chargers didn't have an answer. And that, up in the middle. And then today during the presser, one of their beat reporters asked Jim, about the A pressure, the gaps of the A pressure, and he kind of threw our running backs under the bus, saying that was their job. And a lot of fans were not too thrilled about that, because there's so many snaps where you can see the center, Bradley Bozeman, snap the ball, and instead of, picking his head up and having his head on a swivel, would immediately go to one side to help a guard who didn't need help. And when they did that, they left the biggest gap. And what Philly was doing smartly with their linebacker, I mean, Philly's secondary, their whole defense is really good, in my opinion. They would just shoot a linebacker or a cornerback or a safety right up the middle. And Justin would just, he'd be in the pocket, and all of a sudden he's like, oh crap, where do I go? He can't go left or right, so whatever. The pocket was a mess all night. Yeah, in my notes, Bozeman was lost. He had no answer throughout the game. Eagles defense was stout, but this is something I'm also noticing. Oh, I thought that was for me. This is something I also have noticed opponents doing to the Chargers. I'll go back to the Jags game. The Raiders were doing it as well. Is their secondaries are doing something that is slowing down the pass game. They are disguising, blitzing. They'll drop guys in the coverage. They're doing a really good job to confuse Herbert and the pass catchers. Eagles secondary had our pass catchers in hell all night. Cooper DeJean, he's a dog. He had Ladd in hell all night. And, I want to give a shout out to the Eagles secondary, because they didn't let anything, whatever Justin got, it had to be earned the hard way, especially through the air. Let's see. Hurts in the second quarter did something absolutely bizarre. And if for you guys that caught the game, it was, like I said earlier, it was like watching a car wreck. He threw an interception, and this is the second time that Minter, our defense coordinator, has dropped our D lineman, a D tackle, into coverage, which is bizarre to see, right? You don't see a D tackle being dropped into coverage. Well, this is the second time that I've seen it where it's worked, and he picked off a ball, intercepted. It was Deshaun Hand. So Deshaun Hand's got the ball. He's going for a run, barely made it, and their guy 28 Shipley, boom, swatted out. And I'm like, oh God, here we go. Hurts recovers the ball, and I'm like, oh God, they got the ball back now. And then our other D tackle, Caldwell, the rookie, knocks that out of his hand, and our linebacker Troy Dye jumped on it. So Hurts threw an interception and lost a fumble on the same play. And I think someone was saying that hasn't happened since the 70s or sometime in the 70s. But that was absolutely hilarious. And
it's one for the ages for sure. I mean, I've watched that thing 3 times because, it's something you just never see.
So you'll
probably never see it again.
There was a stat. There was 5 turnovers in 11 plays early in that game. It was a hot mess, man. It was a hot mess. Justin had his fair share. I think he had an interception, stupid one, got his hand hit. He was almost damn near throwing a lateral. Lucky that he didn't get picked back. And then going in kind of this, going towards the second part of the game, after halftime. I feel like the Chargers kind of abandoned the run a little bit too much in the second part. I felt like Vidal was running with some juice, and they went away from him. But Herbert, man, he was not pretty in this game. But I'll tell you, dude, like he did some tough as nails stuff in this game, like escaping the pocket when they needed the yards. I mean, he was stiff arming a guy with his surgically repaired hand. You know, I think his stats, we'll look at the stats real quick. Really not good. Yeah, pretty poor. 12 for 26, only 139 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Like, the guy got sacked 7 times. Like, pretty bad. This was a defensive game, both sides of the ball. And then,
but you got to give Herbert some credit that he did escape a lot of pressures. I mean, that's how bad the interior of your offensive line was playing. That Herbert, had to run 10 times for 66 yards, but he did it.
There was a play where Hampton was going up for a block, and their linebacker, I think it was Nakobe Dean, just blew Hampton up, just boom, right into Herbert. Herbert tries to run, fumbles the ball, and the Eagles recover. And I'm just like, oh my God. And then later in the game, I don't know if it was the same player. He had a free beeline shot to Herbert, and I'm like, oh, here we go again. And then just Herbert sheds him, and is able to make
see you later, bro.
Was able to get a positive out of it. And then the Eagles, they were going for this tush push. This play pisses me off because there was bad calls for both teams. The Eagles definitely I feel like they got hosed on a couple calls, and I feel like the Chargers got hosed on a couple calls. Well, I thought the Chargers did a really good job in keeping Saquon Barkley in check, even though his stats in the game, let's see, where's Barkley? Why didn't I have it pulled up?
He actually had a really good game.
Well, they're inflated, and I'll tell you why. So it shows that he had 20 carries, 1 touchdown, 122 yards, right? That's a pretty good game, right? That's a really good game. Well, go back to this play. The Eagles had this tush push. Everybody was condensed. They sure fooled the defense, right? And then it was like, as soon as they snapped the ball, they get out of it, and everything was going wide. Well, our defense, quickly got to that perimeter, and Khalil Mack, even the broadcasters said it. They're like, that's a big hold they just got away with. Jordan Mailata, however you say his name, number 68, grabs Mack, right? Mack's like, could put a hand on Barkley, grabs Mack. That's not the hold. And then proceeds to bear hug him. Puts both his freaking arms around Mack, and Barkley, I think, runs for super long game for a touchdown, and I'm just like, you guys didn't see that? It was blatantly obvious. You the biggest guy, the edge. You got 2 well-known dudes, and you're just gonna let this guy bear hug, and then Saquon Barkley touchdown. All right, cool. So that really ticked me up. But like I said, I felt like the Eagles probably got hosed on something earlier in the game. To me, it was like a makeup call because they called holding on one of the Eagles guys when they threw a touchdown in the red zone later on, and that negated the touchdown. So it was, anyways.
Well, DZ, that leads me to a question. Again, since my Raiders are going to be playing Eagles next week, do you feel like they're the Eagles, since they won the Super Bowl, are they kind of getting the Kansas City treatment in calls?
I'm not sure about that on the calls, because I think they still had 6. Would they have? I know you got the stats. It's like they had 6 penalties. Chargers had like 7. The Eagles' problem is their OC, And they went from Kellen Moore to, I think it's Patullo, whatever his name is. I think that's their issue, their OC. But Hurts is not running at all. Like, he's a weapon in himself when he runs. And we'll get into Hurts. I mean, Hurts threw 4 interceptions. Our secondary was having.
You can't sustain that though.
Sustain what?
Like, well, look at what's happening with the Ravens and Lamar Jackson, and look at what's happening with other guys. Like Hurts has, like, let's put it this way: early stage of his career when he's young, dumb, and basically invincible because he's a young dude that has all the testosterone to spare and can recover. You run and do the things that he did, but he needs to start to work on, like, the I don't know, lack of better words, like the churn and the pivot to go over to become like a more of a passing pocket style, use legs to evade contact, but don't run, like, that mix and blend that you need from a proper quarterback. And
but that's what he was doing.
These guys can't.
Richie, he was doing exactly what you're describing, what he should be. But, they have AJ Brown, right? Like, he deserves the criticism for what he's done throughout this season. They got Devontae Smith on the other side. They have Dallas Goedert and they have Saquon Barkley. So they have weapons that garner respect from defenses. I thought in this game, like I said, he threw 4 interceptions. Let's take away, it actually would have been 5. They took away one from our young rookies, RJ Mickens. Was that interception? Was it not? Was it on the ground? Wasn't? We don't know. They said it wasn't. But, he was throwing these piss missiles or these weird hospital balls. And it's like, all right, dude, you're obviously not seeing the secondary well, just like Herbert on the other side. So while your guys are garnering respect, maybe use those legs and get some of those yards back. But I get what you're saying. That's not sustainable. The thing is, why I don't compare it to Baltimore is Baltimore's never really had a true number 1 wide receiver.
No.
Eagles have AJ Brown. I feel like they're better matched up where he could use his legs. But either way, I get what you're saying.
And, a lot of those passes that, he threw were like, it was like double coverage. It's like he's trying to force the ball too much.
Well,
and I will say one thing, on AJ Brown, he did miss, missed 3 balls this game. And like one was a tip where you guys got an interception.
So
he was throwing double, triple coverage in this game. I didn't like what he did. He reminded me of like Geno Smith, just making bad choices.
The interception one where AJ Brown's over the middle. If AJ Brown caught that, he was getting his ribs rearranged. Like, he was going to get knocked the F out. But, so AJ did that kind of like, it was kind of high and it was a high hot pass. And he kind of just like tipped it up. And one of our guys swooped in and grabbed it. But Jack, AJ had a touchdown that would have probably sealed this game the way it was going for the Chargers offense. And I think it's almost like went through 2 of his hands or 1 hand, but I felt like the cornerback, Cam Hart, also made a really good play by locking one of those. Cam Hart had a hell of a game. It was like this type of game, but he came in clutch when we needed him to. So, but I mean, you're paying AJ Brown a ton of money to make those catches, and he just hasn't. He did make his fair amount of catches and was pretty lethal in other parts. Like, there were some passes that Hurts did make that were really good. Like, he had this one pass, I remember, Devontae Smith, that I was like, wow, that's a professional pass. That was one hell of a play. Anyways.
Sorry, just use that real quick on the rib. Sorry, real quick on the rib thing.
Yeah.
I did want to just kind of like add in something there. So this is now the 3rd consecutive day. My dad's actually in the hospital right now.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
He fell on some black ice. I live way north in Canada, so it is what it is. And he actually broke 3 ribs.
Oh my Lord.
So
No jokes.
He's
Nothing funny.
Yeah, that's some serious stuff for someone at his age bracket. So
You get
thoughts and prayers
infections,
to
all kinds
him.
of stuff. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Thoughts and
thoughts and prayers
prayers.
to him. He is now he's very much like me. He waited about 2 days and ignored all the pain and said, "Screw that! I'm not doing anything." So I got it from somewhere. There's a nudge and a wink there. I am the way I am, obviously because of my father and the kind of emulating some of that behavior. Um, Pain is optional. You ignore it and move on. And eventually, the women in your life try to guide you into the right direction to try to get yourself healed. So that's kind of the way that I work
God
too.
bless you.
Yeah, man.
So my father had the ambulance called on him by my mother, not because he called them. um, and
Oh, we lost your audio.
Yeah, you lost your audio, buddy.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Canadians. Like, my good friend Gord, who's Canadian, who passed away, back in August. I didn't know it because I just lost contact. Richie, say something. We can't hear you.
Yeah,
Jack, can you hold down it? Can you guys hold this down for like 2
hello.
minutes?
Yep, I can hear you now.
All right, so
You're back.
Yeah, no, it's there's a stubbornness that's baked into the Canadian culture, especially when you're not a youngster who are all weak and and need to learn a few lessons from the older folk in their life. But no, Gord is very much of a similar mentality to me. You could tell that he and I were kind of probably raised in a similar fashion. My father was raised in that same fashion as well, and it's a stoicism that you're supposed to have as kind of the the man of the house, if you will. And that's something that I take very seriously with my kids, and my son will be raised with that same expectation. And so these are all things that are really key and important. And for those who don't know, Gord has unfortunately passed away. He was, relatively speaking, as far as Raider Nation goes and whatnot. Gord was less than an hour away or so from where I live. He was in that general vicinity, and Gord was, believe it or not, further north than I was here in Canada. It is a different country where Gord lived, up in that section there of Ontario. Some of the nicest scenery you will ever see in your life in that section where Gord lived. So there's some positives there. And honestly, just on Gord specifically, he was a spectacular fan of the show, always here, always present. Great engaging in terms of like questions and whatnot. And the only regret I have is that obviously not knowing timing and everything, I wish that he and I had set up a time where we could have met in person, because we were certainly close enough that should have been possible. So,
right.
I do
And
regret that.
Gordon was concerned about you, Richie's, and I showed you guys this,
Yeah.
behind the scenes, because for those who don't know, I've known Gord for several years now. And actually this hat I'm wearing right now, that's signed by Lester Hayes. Gord is, a personal friend, and I got him. Lester Hayes is his favorite player, and I got him a signed hat and I sent it to him. And it literally, he had to be so patient because at the time his sister works for the post office up there. And I don't know, you guys had your post offices going on strike. So when I got the hat, he had to wait almost 3 or 4 months before he can actually get it because your post office was on strike. And he is a great friend of the show, and that is for sure. He would always tune in. And yes, you and Richie, you and Gord have a lot in common. That is for sure. I wish you guys would have met. I enjoyed my time talking on the phone with him. He's that good of a person. So
he had a
he's going to be totally missed.
Gord had a specific PFP or his little thing. And I remember always seeing it. Like, okay, I could tell that's him. And it wasn't until Jack shared the news with us that I was like, oh wow, yeah, I hadn't seen him in a while, and I was like,
Mhm.
I wondered what happened. But I always, when you showed his PFP, like it took me a minute to like click to like, okay, Gord, and then I was like, oh wow, yeah, I remember him quite a bit in all these shows, So it's
Yeah, and
unfortunate.
shout out to Ben for actually bringing the news. And I still don't know. I've reached out to a couple, and I don't know how he passed. I just know that we would talk all the time. When we would talk on the phone, I just loved the way he would say A, that Canadian A. And that was just like a thing of his voice. And I'll never forget A. And it was from Raider Ben's channel. So those Raider fans that are out there, actually Raider Ben's got a little memorial thing for Gord. So, go on there and, say what you want to say, post it on there. I check on it once in a while just to kind of read it. But yeah, it's when he disappeared, I was like, okay, he's not answering me. And we would talk on the phone, and then he's gone. And then like his channel got shut down, to chat to him. I'm like, wow, what happened? And just never knew. So.
Yeah, so that was, like I said, there's a few kind of crossovers here, but yeah, so my dad is in the hospital right now. He's probably not going to be released for another few days at least. We'll see what kind of happens there. I don't expect anything major to happen. It's just a matter of, next steps in all of this. But I'm just glad that he didn't have any larger issues like hips or legs or anything like that
Hips
that got
is like
involved in
the
terms of
bad one, huh,
falls.
Richie? We always hear it with
Yeah.
our parents or the elderly. Those,
yeah,
man.
it's
Well,
it's a good thing.
God bless your
My
father.
dad also played. So my dad also played semi-pro football and soccer, which is football with a U for those across the pond. I have the athleticism on my dad's side of the family that were anything contact sports where you got to hit people and laugh about it, you were all in. And
dude,
so
Richie, you just said something that I just saw a post. I don't know if you guys, anybody on here scrolls through Instagram reels like randomly just forever. They say that you get your athleticism from your mother's side. I don't know how true it is, but that's like the thing. And I thought that was pretty shocking. I was like, really? Like,
well,
what?
I disagree with that because my mother's side of the family is a bunch of short Irish people that get blown over by a stiff wind. My dad's side of the family, however, my great grandfather on my grandmother's side played for the CFL team, the Hamilton Tiger Cats, as a leatherhead. I have a picture, like a black and white photo of him. And for his generation, that dude was mammoth. Like he was enormous as a human being. And my dad kind of followed in that footsteps. So I suppose on my dad's side of the family, that kind of like general sentiment would hold true. But my athleticism definitely came from my father's side of the family, for sure. My uncle was a train wreck when he played rugby and can barely walk now on my mom's side, whereas I got my leg shattered, my arm shattered. I've broken every finger in my hand, every bone in my hand, and I have no pain, like zero.
That's that's funny that you said that because people are a lot of Charger fans are like, man, I wonder, because we've seen Herbert play through these injuries and things were like, and he's a big guy, he's 6'6", right? So you know how like things get tougher for really big guys opposed to smaller people. Smaller people live longer.
Yeah.
Not as much gravitational pull, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, what is his body going to be like at 50 years old? I'm sure by then with the amount of money he's got, they'll figure something out, but it's probably not easy. You said you broke your hand. Like this guy's broken his hand. I think this is his third time since the league.
So here, this tells you all you need to know. Look at how crooked my fingers are.
To me, it looks like you're going up west side.
But then look, I put them like this and they all fit.
Oh, now you're doing the Star Trek.
No, but that's how I was taught how to tape my fingers together to make sure they heal.
Because these two are kind of on the same thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So when I was like playing competitively, this is how you tied your fingers together. So you tape your fingers like this. So my fingers like literally perfectly like groove into one another as a result of the broken bones and everything. So I got all that from my father's side of the family for sure. And certainly the stubbornness and like the grit came from my dad's side of the family, no doubt. And so while I agree that there's maybe some maternal side of it. Like my mom never discouraged me from playing contact sports, so I certainly had like the support of the maternal side of my family.
Sure.
But I mean, it all came from my dad's side. Like my mom's side of the family is like the short little Irish folk.
Where do we leave off?
And Richie, I have a question for you. So Abakazi Raider, he's from Australia, so he's into rugby too. Have any of the shows that, again, I know you'd go on Captain Show a lot, back in the day. Did you ever get the opportunity to meet him? Or, talk to him?
No. Well, he may have been like in the chat, but I never got a chance to be on camera with him. I would certainly remember an Aussie accent.
Yeah, he's a big dude like you, and he likes, of course, football, and he's from Australia, so he likes rugby. So that's why I was curious.
It's an interesting crossover sport. Like the one thing I notice about football and rugby that are very different is rugby is I believe rugby to be a more violent sport just overall. However, the one thing that football has is because you're wearing full pads, a lot of the guys in football will hit physically harder to avoid hurting themselves.
Yep.
So you have a universal raising of the bar as a result of the physical exoskeleton that the guys in football are wearing.
Yeah.
Now, you get a few guys that were like me and others that didn't believe that pain should be something that holds you back and would hit at full speed no matter what. It didn't matter. But those guys are rare in rugby. They don't exist in full. So you get a lot of hard hits, but you don't get the debilitating hits like you get in football. Like you get these cracking hits in football that you're looking at saying that is not like that's not good. And then the other problem with the plastic and stuff like that is that it leaves certain elements of like your neck, your arms, your shoulders and stuff exposed as you get hit. Where your bone is between like two hard things, right? And so it's susceptible to breaking and stretching and other damage.
It's interesting that you say that. I've seen NFL players react to like rugby highlights, and they're like, "Oh, damn!" Like they're pretty blown away by stuff. And then I've seen rugby players react to NFL highlights, and they're like, they're both equally. They're on the same level, but it's like same but different. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So the one thing that kind of set myself from other rugby players, and this is it's very rare, but you do see them in some of the pro leagues, is there are only a handful of rugby players that will tackle like football.
I had to learn.
You got to be smarter about it.
When I played rugby, I had to learn not to tackle like football.
No, but see, I wanted to because I thought it would inflict maximum pain on my opponent. Yeah. And I was just sadistic like that, and that's fine. But I'm sure that it caused pain on the folks that I played with because I believed in picking them up off the ground physically and driving them into the turf. My goal was to ensure that they remembered playing number 3. Is I wanted my number to be engraved in their head that they saw me on the pitch and they walked the other way. And then I chased them down and hurt them anyway. So it was just it was just like the nature of the beast, right? Which is, there is very few people that actually tackled low to high and then driving straight down. So it was basically the intention of that tackle is initial impact to jostle and then drive them straight into the turf to make them not want to get back up.
My favorite rugby like highlight plays are like when you get these like just because their lower halves are just built like tree trunks, and you see some of these like special guys that will just with the ball they'll hit, and you just watch the other person just bounce off of them, and they just keep going. And you can see it. Sometimes they'll go hit another one, another defender will come in, and it's just like boom. And it's a lot of the times it's the Tongans or the Samoans that are kind of laying that wood down. It's pretty fun.
Those are car crashes. Like, you do understand that the physical impact of those hits is like the equivalent of like 2 cars hitting, right?
I think did you guys not see, like, I think it was like a year ago or something, there was like a news, how like Dana White like created slap boxing or something, and people were like, that is just dumb. I don't think he created it. I think it came from Europe. Well, then I saw what looked like New Zealand, Australia, or maybe the Pacific Islanders, they came up with a new sport where they just run head on at each other. I don't know if you guys saw any of those clips. I'm like, that's got to be the dumbest, most dangerous. And they knock each other out. And it's these big Tongans, Australians just running full speed at each other, and to see who's the bigger or the stronger. I'm like, oh my God. Like, no.
I'm going to say this for Nabman. It's like Lockie Toss this year, the Raiders international player, rugby from Australia. And I sent you guys video clips, like in preseason. If Nav would be, if he was here right now, he'd tell see guy, hit guy, demolish guy. And, that's pretty much what this young kid does. And I hope he does get an opportunity to actually play this year, because you know what? I like him better than, what the Raiders offensive linemen have been done so far. And with everyone being hurt, just to see him out there. And it would be fun just to see that once again.
Jack, I simplified that. It was seek, hit, destroy.
Yes. Well, that's like Metallica song, seek and destroy.
I don't know. I mean,
seek, hit, destroy.
No, I know, but Metallica was just seek and destroy.
The hit was important because you wanted that impact.
Right.
Yeah. Well, they're a big band, but they need better guitarists. Anywho, with regards to the NFL and everything else here, DZ, obviously that was I want to say not a surprising outcome of the game, but it definitely fit very well into our overall predictions on the show.
I think I was the one that picked the Eagles over the Chargers. I think I had the Eagles 20, Chargers 17, and it ended up being, what was the final score?
22-19.
22-19. So I wasn't far off. It was one for the good guys.
And I will say this for your Chargers too. What I've seen versus years past, it used to be in years past the Chargers couldn't finish the game.
That's
and
true.
what I'm seeing from your Chargers this year, you guys are finishing the games. In these close ones, you guys are winning them.
They're either
which has
getting
been very
blown
impressive.
out.
Great coaching.
Yeah.
Great coaching. And you got great coaching too.
I mean, there's 2 games this season where they've gotten just absolutely mollywopped, and that was when the Colts were just at the peak, which the Broncos beat them or were actually went neck to neck. I don't think they didn't beat them, but Colts had our number, and then the Jags whooped our ass in Jacksonville. And Jags are another heater team. They're looking pretty damn good, pretty good on both sides of the ball. I think they're like the number 1 run defense where they were as of last week. But the game went into OT. Both teams look pretty damn tired, and I thought the Eagles were going to win it. I thought Jalen Hurts, on a 1st and 10, they got greedy and they went for the end zone, maybe trying to catch the defense off guard or something. And Cam Hart made a great play, tipped it up, and Tony Jefferson, I think it was like the 2nd week in a row, made an amazing interception off of a tip and sealed the game. But, I've seen Eagle fans go like, dude, it's a 1st and 10, man, run the ball, run the ball, do something, and then at very least you could kick a field goal, tie it up in overtime. There's still time left. But from what I get, what Sirianni says, they're going for the win. He's going to have his QBs back. But I didn't see the Chargers winning because, look, you don't see the Eagles lose back-to-back games and then lose a 3rd time. So they're on a 3-game losing streak. they're pissed off, and I low key feel bad for the Raiders going into Philly. I honestly do, because that's I wish you guys
don't feel bad.
I wish you guys luck. But there's tons of guys. Shout out Dicker, the kicker for the Chargers, 5 for 5. Had a, he pretty much sealed the deal with the 54-yard field goal. That guy's been money. He's been clutch. He's got ice in his veins. Just feels really good to have a good kicker for once, because, I feel like the majority of my life growing up as a Chargers fan, we've always had kicker issues, and it seems like they've got it figured out with this guy. Dante Jackson, our pickup from Pittsburgh, has been a godsend. I hope they extend him. I think he was a second-rated cornerback this week. I think he's got like 5 or 6 interceptions. Just stud. And then Hampton looks good.
I was going to ask you about Hampton.
He looks good. Other than pass blocking, he looks good. It's kind of sad that he's got to work behind this line. And, I kind of said it earlier in my opening about Bozeman and Becton, but Becton had like a grade, just piss poor, pathetic. Like, I think it was like in the teens or something, when these guys are supposed to be rated all the way up to 100 or whatever it is. And it's just, there's guys, let's just say, and we'll get onto it, as we go through our wishes or off-season stuff, but there's definitely dudes on this team that I really want them to keep and extend. Tar, Dante Jackson, but there's guys that need to get the hell off this team if this team wants to go anywhere, because as a Chargers fan, they're on the right track, but I do not view them as a contender, obviously, with the O-line. And then I don't trust our offensive coordinator. I think he's as creative as a blank wall, and it shows in games where he's got all your wide receivers are all running the same route together, and it's just it's piss poor. It's Bush League, stuff. So glad they got out of there with the win. You got a big test this week going into KC. KC, I think, has what they're like 6-7 right now.
Yeah.
Which is, when was the last time we've seen them 6-7? It's been a while.
Yay.
It's been a while. And 6-7, right? It's a kid thing. So that'll be an interesting game. It's kind of nice seeing Mahomes actually, have to look normal for once. I mean, he had 3 O-linemen out or something, and then I don't know if you guys caught it. He their backup left tackle who was starting, I think it was like a few plays in. Like, did you guys see that? Like, looked like his leg went the other way, like snapped in half. It was pretty gruesome. So they've got some issues to deal with at KC, but it should be a good game.
Well, they got some also, just like, most of our teams, except for Richie's, they got some issues with their offensive line more. And, the rookie Simpson, their first round pick, they're out.
Simmons.
They're both out. So that's going to be tough for them. If they even want a chance, they're going to have to win out. And, they're going to have to win all the other AFC West games that they play. That's for sure. Yeah.
Look, I hope the Chargers can do it. It's going to be a tall task. Going into Arrowhead for any team is not easy. Someone was talking about the weather. I think it's only going to be in the 40s, maybe 10-mile-per-hour winds, or what last I checked. So
short weather.
Football weather.
I was going to say it's warm then for up there.
Football weather. So
that's shorts and a tank top right there.
But you got to think that they definitely know how they're going to be able to attack the Chargers, especially on offense. So they're probably going to come out swinging with everything they got, and we'll see. We'll see. But, yeah, man, it was good to get a win against the Eagles. Definitely didn't see that happening.
Well,
I didn't,
the rest of the panel,
the season started, but
the rest of the panel did. Given where the
I think
Eagles
you guys were full of it, and you guys were just trying to jinx it.
No.
No. I will happily predict the Chargers losing if I can. To be fair,
right?
Like with a smile on my face, I might add. However, I really do think that game was just your team has shown a grit this year, given let's put it this way. There are no other teams that I can envision in this league today that could have done what your team has done right now, where you are continuing to play at a very high level after losing both your left and right tackle on the offensive line. That is at a I don't think your team is getting enough credit.
I think what everybody's doing, which is rightfully so, and I'm kind of on board with what they're doing, especially in the media, is they're like, I think I said this weeks ago. I was like, the writing is kind of like on the wall, essentially. So that's how everybody's talking about the Chargers. They just, you can't believe in them because look who they're like. Let's just look at the next couple games, right? Like playing in KC, right? After that is playing in Dallas against the Cowboys, who look much improved, look really good. And then it's in Denver, I believe. No, or Denver's in LA, if I'm not mistaken. One of the two. No, it's not Denver. It's Texans. So my bad. Texans defense looks like that's nightmare fuel, right? And then it's finishing off with the Broncos. And, as a Chargers fan, I'm hoping the Broncos are resting players by that time. But we'll see. Who knows? They might come down because I think the Broncos have a pretty tough last few games as well.
We are third strength of schedule in terms of difficulty level coming into the approaching the playoffs.
Yeah, so who knows? There's a lot of stuff that can happen. And
we have the Jags. We have
Packers this week, right?
Packers, Jags, these are not easy teams. These are like legit contenders.
And I'm high on the Jags, and I hate them, but they have our number. But who knows? Anything could happen with Lawrence. He can come back down and be who he was, but he's playing some good ball. So
Otis. Agreed. Oh no, I just had to say Otis made a comment in the chat, so I just said I had to agree. But we don't need a tank. We're just that bad.
I mean, look, it looks like Geno's not playing this week, right?
Oh, that's going to hurt us. Actually,
you get this young guy wanting to go prove something out there, go sling the rock around. But yeah,
that's a good segue into the rivalry with the Denver Broncos. Yeah, Geno Smith is like, I don't know how hurt he really is. He gets the boo birds, from all the Raider fans now. And so he runs behind guys like Max Crosby. So when people see Max Crosby, they're going to cheer, or a Genty. So he runs behind them because if he ran in front of them, then the boos would come out. So he hangs out by the players when, certain players, when they come onto the field. And the biggest cheer of the whole game, which I got to say, I've never seen, the Broncos travel so well until this week. This was amazing for Denver. I saw more orange, in our home ballpark than I've ever seen anytime.
That orange stood out because of the black background, especially the black seats. It was just like, yeah. I mean, look, I'm not talking smack because there was whatever they call that Philly green or whatever. There was a ton of Eagles fans in SoFi, so I'm not talking crack, but it definitely stands out at Allegiant.
It did, and there were just a lot of fans there. So, and hey, congratulations, Richie, on the win. But when it comes to Kenny Pickett, I mean, yes, the game was already out of hand when Geno's injury happened. But Kenny Pickett, out of any of the quarterbacks, that play this week, again against Geno or Bo or Herbert, anybody. I mean, he had a 129.7 QBR rating this week. He was 8 of 11, 97 yards, and a touchdown. So I'm almost kind of nervous if Geno won't play. I mean, again, I don't know how hurt he really is. I think Kenny Pickett's probably a better quarterback than Geno right at this moment.
I guarantee Gino is not going to want to suit up in Philly, dude.
I agree with you. I don't think he ever wants to suit up, for any Raider home game again.
Probably.
I see him like suiting up, going on the road more than I ever see him like suiting up at home, just because Raider fans just don't like him. And most of the fan base wants him gone. And it's funny that some of the stuff I didn't even show you. I showed you guys some funny ones today, but it's like Gino would say, blame me for everything. So when someone said, "Oh, I had to have surgery on my knee," oh, I blame it on Gino. Oh, I missed my flight, blame it on Gino. So now the funny meme is like, blame Gino for everything, even if it has nothing to do with Gino. Even someone like, one content creator said, blame Gino for Derek Carr getting kicked off the team by McDaniels. So that just tells you how the fan base feels about Gino. And I will say it makes me more nervous. Again, I'm looking at my schedule coming up and, the teams that I got to play. So again, we got the Eagles. And that's why I was asking questions again, in the way of like Hurts. I thought he just played bad, and again, I hope you're right. I hope they are fired up and, losing those 3 in a row, turn them around, because right now the Raiders got the number 2 pick in the draft based on where they sit. And then, of course, they got to play the Eagles, the Texans, and the one that's going to be interesting is the New York Giants, who hold the first pick overall, and then, of course, the Chiefs. The only one I can potentially see is, beating the Giants. Right now, this week, they're going into Washington, and Washington's missing their quarterback, Jaden Daniels. So
yeah.
I'm hoping they can pull out a win, to move up that one spot.
I think people might go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
I was, you said Jaden Daniels. Like, I think Mariota is the better quarterback for the Commanders. Somebody might need to have conversation with about Daniels. Like that kid is fragile. Let's just say he's a great quarterback, but he's fragile, and those concerns are probably coming to fruition that people had about him pre-draft process, about his narrow frame. But like if you play Mariota, like no, they look pretty competitive. But that Daniels led team, I don't know about that. Maybe he's just too banged up, right, to be just
The Commanders had a decent offensive line, but they had a couple holes in their offensive line that made them susceptible. I think Daniel's problem is that unless he has an elite offensive line, I think that his frame comes into being a factor in terms of his health.
I probably agree. And, you said something that I've been talking about, not to hijack you, Jack, but, and it goes with Jack, because I just checked just recently, the Broncos are still – I checked the Broncos, Patriots, and Jaguars offensive line rankings. The Broncos are still up in the top 3 of this year. I think the Jags and Patriots are in the 20s, in the low 20s or mid 20s. And I was just curious because I'm like, well, this is can help you, especially with this playoff push. And I look at the Raiders, the Chargers. I know probably half the league need offensive line help, especially going in next season, big time. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, not everybody's going to be able to get what they want to get because the price is going to be a damn bidding war. I would assume, right, for players. And there's only a certain amount of players in the draft. Not every one of them you're going to hit on. So it's going to be interesting this offseason because a lot of teams are going to want the same similar type of guys.
Do you want to know what's going to happen? This offseason in free agency, you're going to see offensive linemen go at such stupid prices that you're just going to be like, are you freaking kidding me?
Well, we did see that, Richie.
Right.
But this offseason is going to be like, like a level up above that.
I kind of said something similar in a Chargers chat, and it's not good because I know who my GM is. And I'm like, if these Muppets try to run it back with the same freaking group that they have, it's going to backfire. It's like I've watched what Chicago did, and it's working for them.
Right. And well, look at Wattenberg. I mean, talk about an overpriced contract, 4 years, $48 million. So if Wattenberg's getting that type of contract, just imagine what the blue chippers are going to be getting out there.
Yeah.
Well, Wattenberg didn't get like a top end deal, and I think that was appropriate. Like
What's up,
as
Chewy?
much as I hate Wattenberg, he is about average.
I mean, average is good these days, though.
He's about average, but
Yeah.
the problem I have is that he is the weakest link on the Broncos offensive line, and it's not even close. And like I suppose that's a nice problem to have,
Yeah, it's not bad.
Mhm.
right? But the issue is that the Max Crosbys, the Khalil Max, the the upper echelon of the league, which my concern is as the Broncos continue to do better, which we are, you're going to have a stronger strength of schedule, which means that you're going to be playing more and more of the better D linemen.
Yeah.
Just by definition, like definitionally, you're going to be playing the better D linemen.
Sure.
And so the problem I have is that Wattenberg is going to be targeted. And at some point, the Broncos, if they don't address the offensive center, are going to end up with where the Chiefs are at right now, which is they have a quarterback that's quite good. I believe Bo Nix is quite good. But the problem is that if your quarterback can't step up in the pocket to plant his feet properly because of his offensive center basically sucks balls and is being propped up by Quinn Miners and Palcho.
Palcho.
That was for you, DZ. Okay, and let's also be honest. Palcho is a backup guard right now for my Denver Broncos, who is playing at the level of a starting guard for 85% of the league.
Yeah, I think you still though have two
And
of the top linemen in the league though. Like I think it's Bulls and Quinn Miners. I want to say are like the top in their respective positions. I don't know if it was last
of course
week.
they are.
Yeah.
Quinn Miners is insane. Like
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I have to say it on the show.
No,
Like,
they are super good. And so that being said, is like I know you're talking about like Wattenberg. You're not a huge fan, right? I get it. But what like Mekhi Becton? Let's go to that. He got to play on that Eagles O line last year, right? That Super Bowl O line, and you get to some of your inefficiencies get to hide next to some of these elite dudes, and I feel like Wattenberg can benefit, being paired between some really good guys. And I know Paltro's filling in right now, but look at next year getting your original left guard back or whatever. I think that helps him out, helps his
no,
case
we're
out.
cutting him.
Who?
I think we're cutting Powers.
Oh, I'm sorry. Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take him. Can you play right guard?
He's a left guard, but the thing is that Powers, in my opinion, is shown to be expendable overall. Now, there's been certain things where Palcho has had to learn, but he's caught up now. Like he's no longer like this. Where am I?
There's a learning. There's like any backup just getting thrown in there. It's going to take a minute.
Yeah, but
Right.
I think Palcho has shown that he is a legitimate left guard in this league. Frankly, he's an even better right tackle, in my opinion. He's the aggressor, and what really shows him out at the guard position is that he's an aggressor who has the athleticism to play tackle. But when you have a guy like that at a guard spot, he can start blocking way downfield because he's just that good, right?
He can get to the second level.
He can get to that second and third level there properly. And as long as he curtails himself, because we've seen this as well, like I'm sure you've seen with your Chargers, I've seen it with my Broncos, is if you have guys that can shed tackles, get a block, get a running back behind, they get caught for blocking downfield as penalties.
Yep.
And they need to be very cautious about how they do it. So Palcho's biggest issue right now isn't, am I good enough? It's, can I control my play so I don't get penalties
small
called
things.
again? Yeah. Like, and again, I hate to say like an embarrassment of riches, but he's an undrafted free agent. Like
Yeah.
he's a guy.
Can we have a show where there's no UDFA, on the conversation? I'm tired of your team getting UDFAs.
I'm rooting for him. Obviously not against my guys, but look, if you can be UDFA and make probably generational wealth for you and your family, dude.
Yep.
Hats off, brother. Like rock and roll. Dude,
he recently got engaged over this past off season and that kind of stuff. Like I love to hear that sort of thing from a young player on my team. Start a family, all that kind of stuff. Like how awesome is that? Like good for him, right? And so my big thing with my Broncos in terms of how we're doing is if we want to be successful long term, like, and I mean like truly long term, my Broncos need to address the center position in order to protect Bo Nix for the long haul. Get a rookie in to run block as a primary kind of key factor in assessing them in the draft. Because pass pro can be taught, but run blocking is a mentality. And frankly, mentalities cannot just be learned. They are basically ingrained. And so you need a guy like Miners. So Miners is my prototypical guy. He's the guy that I model all of my comments based off of for the most part. Miners was
setting the bar a little high there, Richie.
Well, I don't disagree. But in fairness, if you're going to be honest, DZ, Miners was a trash run blocker. Oh, sorry, pass pro.
So
he was bad.
Said that. I just heard
he was legitimately bad.
Yeah, God, you just reminded me of something. We talk about pass and run block. Remember, what's your mantra about it? It's like you need to have the mentality to run block and then the technique to pass block. And supposedly, God, somebody was talking about the Chargers line that they're doing pretty decent in the run game and just horrible in the pass game, which is,
that would tell me coaching. That would tell me coaching.
But their coaching is, I mean, maybe it's coming to fruition. They do have a good backup. That's another coach I want gone and the backup to take his place. But I don't know if you guys heard someone mention in the comments that Michigan fired their head coach, Sharon Moore.
Yeah.
And he took over for Jim Harbaugh. Well, previous to that, he was the offensive line coach. And I'm like, hey, could he come to LA? Because we could use the help. But your guy about Palcho you're talking about, and I know we're kind of dipping and diving and get back, but he reminds me He reminds me of Jamar Salyer that we have playing left tackle for us right now. And I had to kind of look it up just to remind myself. He's not a UDFA, but he was drafted in the 6th round, right? So it's pretty far. It's close to almost being a UDFA. And that guy has been a godsend. Like we've watched him. I think it was in 22. He filled in for Slater at left tackle. He's bounced around to right guard, left guard. They had him drop a ton of weight in this offseason. I think they had him put weight back on quickly this year because they're like, dude, we're going to need you at this position. But that's a guy, when his contract's up, I hope they re-sign him. They pay this guy. This is a guy you want as your 6th lineman, your 6th or your backup, whatever. Pay this dude. Let's get it going. But there's guys like that you just root for that are just really good dudes, and you want them to stick around on the team.
Yep, I agree. And
what I found interesting about your Broncos, Richie, I didn't know until our teams played against each other. Bowles gave up his first sack for the whole season.
Correct.
How impressive is that?
Wow.
You're playing left tackle and you give up 1 sack for the whole year.
Justin might request a trade to Denver. He's like, hey, get me to Denver.
But again, this is what I'm trying to say, right? Is that the Broncos offense right now, as it stands, our biggest weakness is the running back position and the meshing of our wide receivers with the scheme.
It didn't look like that this week. I'll tell you that. Your running game, your offensive line did a great job against my Raiders defensive line, that's a strength for the Raiders this year. That's like the only thing I have to look forward to is against the running game.
I agree.
Harvey had a great game. I mean, unbelievable. I looked at I was looking at stats, I'm like, oh wow, okay. Devin White, kind of shined during the game when I watched it, like how many tackles he had. And I looked at it like, whoa, not one of those tackles was for a loss. So what he had, what was it, like nine tackles? Oh, Devin White, 10 tackles, 9 assists. Okay. So 19 plays he's on. Not one of those plays was for a loss. And then Harvey, Jamal Adams is a stout tackler. And I saw Harvey 3 times break Jamal Adams tackles and gain extra yardage. So your offensive line, it just kind of puts it in place. What we're talking about. Your team is pushing the defenders back. You're gaining positive plays and not having negative plays. It was very impressive to see your running game do something I haven't really seen it do. I've seen, a mixture and Bo doing more. Bo didn't need to do a whole lot in this game because that running game and with your offensive line was just
we had J.K. Dobbins.
Dominant.
We had J.K. Dobbins doing basically what R.J. Harvey is doing today. R.J. Harvey took about 2-3 games to get to where he's at right now. But R.J. Harvey has all scrimmage yards, whereas J.K. Dobbins was typically a running back, like running the ball as opposed to pass catching and running. And that's a huge distinction between the two. So it's an interesting mix. So we had 100 scrimmage yards and a touchdown from R.J. Harvey against the Raiders. That was a big deal. But when you truly look at the Broncos in terms of what would make us successful, we really do need a big bruising style running back. And I do want to give a call out to our fullback, Adam Prentice.
Yeah, I saw him make some plays.
He had his longest run of his career.
Can we not acknowledge the fact that I called out that Prentice was going to be like the guy?
I mean, is it the Broncos finally is it Peyton going like, dude, somebody needs to step up? And he's like, somebody raise your hand. Prentice is like, I got it. Give me the ball. I'll do it.
Prentice is the guy that I envision in practices as breaking his helmet.
Probably fullbacks
like
are psychos.
Like they're just like little little off.
Just imagine bigger Cam Scadaboos. That's what these guys are. These guys are just psychopaths.
Yeah.
Tasmanian devils.
Yeah. So Adam Prentice, DZ, you were a fan of the show while I was talking about him.
Yeah, man.
Before and I'm on record, so you can go back and check the film. I wanted Adam Prentice to stay on my team from the get-go. He was a legit fullback all the way back to when he was back on my team as a UDFA. So we had him on the team as a UDFA. My Broncos chose to go with the tight end fullback hybrid that I didn't like nearly as much as Adam Prentice. And I'm on record on Broncos Talk, my former show, where I talked about that with a 6'10" Mexican, tallest podcast on the internet.
Is that the guy who wears the mask?
No, he's the guy without the mask. So Adon is 6'10" and I'm 6'2", and I believe between the two of us, we claim to be the tallest duo as a podcast on the internet. Total. So we, but the thing is, I always knew Prentice was that guy. He was a dual threat between running and pass catching, and or trifecta even on top of his blocking. And he just has that that pure mentality that like, I'm going to make a play. Like, I'm going to make sure this play works, and I will never be the problem.
He reminds me of some of those top fullbacks, like the guy in San Fran, the guy in Baltimore.
Yeah. Is it Usek or something like that? Juszczyk, yeah.
Can't chat. What's the guy in Baltimore's name? I don't. Either way, but that's the vibe I get off of him. And there's only a few of them in the league.
There's like 1 or 2 or 3 at best. But the thing is that when you have a guy like that on your team as a fullback, they make such a big difference in terms of how you can run your offense that you keep them until they can't do what they do anymore.
Yeah.
Like Prentice to me is that guy. And I
So-
saw that before he got poached by the Saints. Like, he had that skill set. The Broncos just never they never had the coaching staff that could recognize it. Peyton with the Saints, like, this way.
So in our game, so we have a guy named Tucker Fisk, who is
Yeah.
a fullback tight end hybrid, and before the Eagle game, he got put on IR for an ankle injury that he sustained the previous week, and everybody was like, "Oh, cool, we get Will Dissly back, who's been a healthy scratch." And Will Dissly was like known as one of the best tight end blockers or blocking tight end, came from Seattle, but he's been a healthy scratch a lot of this year because he came off some knee injury. So I'm like, okay, we're not going to miss a beat. No, it didn't look the same. Tucker Fisk is going to be missed with whatever ankle injury he's suffering, because I don't know. I mean, everybody in this chat primarily is AFC guys, so everybody rocks with fullbacks and stuff like that. But you don't know what you have until you don't have it anymore. And he was definitely, I could tell he wasn't out there.
Yeah. So Prentice has been my guy for a while. And I always thought he was a staple that could really make a difference on a team. Run, block, pass catch. It's a perfect blend of the type of guy you want on your team, like a perfect blend.
He looked. Prentice looked like, that kid
I want you
from,
to
like,
run it. Sorry, Jack. I want you to run into your Raiders team, and I'll be right back.
Okay. So no, I got to say this about Prentice is that, when he had his longest run of his career against the Raiders and he got up, and you can just see the smile, like, the little kid in him came out. So he was like, Pop Warner football back in the day is probably when, he shined and so forth. But I will say this, Bull's only given up that one sack for the whole year. I got to give my hats off, to Tonka Hemingway, who's a rookie. Finally, the Raiders are getting, their rookies in there, but Tonka got the sack on him. And, I want to see more of that. They didn't utilize, that was like in the first series. And if you're going to get a sack, keep throwing that kid out there. I don't know why they took him off the field and started playing like Snowden all the time. You didn't see a lot of Malcolm Kuntz. And I didn't see a lot of Tyree Wilson. So this is the last year of their contracts. I can see those guys, probably going by the wayside next year.
Kuntz's last year as well.
Yeah. He signed a 1 year after, he had that on his last year of his contract, his rookie contract. He had 8 sacks, I think seven sacks in, 7 games at the end. But then in, preseason last year, he got hurt and missed the whole season. So him coming back, he hasn't shown, he's worth that type of money. And Tyree has really never grown into that, that number 7 overall pick that you think you're going to get. Someone who's going to, take control of the game.
I wanted him so bad, Jack, when he was coming out, and I thought he was going to be just a force to be reckoned with. And it just hasn't come to fruition.
DZ, if I can go back in time, and I said this back then, the Raiders could have had Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter was there for the picking. And, like a lot of the Raider fans that are out there and me, I wanted Jalen Carter. But, whatever that incident was, that he had, driving that car, after, Ruggs, thing, after driving 159 miles an hour on the road, hitting that girl, killing her and her dog. I at the point, just like the timing was bad. So I don't think the Raiders, organization wanted to have something like that. They wanted something cleaner. And, that was like his only incident. And again, same thing for Ruggs, his only incident, but it cost somebody, their life. So I think that's part of the reason why the Raiders passed up on him. I mean, hell, if Jalen Carter was on this team, this defense would look so different.
I mean, it was supposed to with Wilkinson or whatever his name was, but there was that crazy scenario with him. I
can't argue with, the Raiders cutting him now.
No,
at the time I was like,
yeah.
what?
Yeah,
okay, kissing your teammate on the forehead or whatever, but he hasn't been signed by any other team. So
No.
the medical staff, they called it right. You need another surgery and you're not willing to get that? Well, no other team has picked him up, and he's an all-pro player.
I'm gonna answer this guy's question right now. Tat Rider, obviously I'm too young to know or to ever watch Wes Chandler, but his stats are insane. I don't know if Jack, do you remember him back in
I
the
remember
70s?
him. I don't know if the best Charger ever.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm wide receiver. I don't know. You got to go back even to like the Dan Fouts days when
Bambi.
Eric Coryell.
Yeah.
I would think one of those wide receivers.
I mean, we've had some really good wide receivers. I mean, probably the best guy that comes to mind, probably because of my age, is probably it's got to be Keenan. It's got to be Keenan Allen right now. But I mean, Wes Chandler's got. I mean, like his NFL career, 559 receptions, 8,966 receiving yards, and 56 touchdowns. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, wasn't Wes Chandler part of that Coryell days though too?
Well, he was on the 40th.
Or was it after?
He was part of the look. So he was with the Chargers from 81 to 87. But he started his career out. Yeah, he started his career out with the Saints and finished it 1 year with the Niners. He's only 6 foot too. Wow. Anyways.
Well, yeah, Antonio Gates, that guy was a beast.
Oh,
so
Eagles.
Eagles fly. I agree.
Eagles are still the best in NFL. Everyone else is fine for second place. Antonio Gates is. You're not going to get any arguments from me. Gates was special, man. I loved watching Gates. Rich is dressed up.
So
when he's dressed up, I've thought of the chips. Lay's down in the States, Rich. Oh, he went away. Jack, did you ever try those chips? They're called they're all dressed or dressed up, and I guess it's like a popular dressing or seasoning up in Canada. Rich, you know what I'm talking about?
All dressed chips.
Yeah. So when I first saw them, I'm like,
and ketchup chips are uniquely Canadian.
Yes, they are. I haven't had a ketchup. No, I have had one before. They're not bad. But the all dressed, I was like, what is this? And I tried them. I'm like, they're pretty damn good. Pretty damn good.
I've never tried.
It's there's certain things that have originated in Canada for whatever reason.
You had a huge French population right there for a minute. Like that was like the spot. We know where cuisine comes from, the French. And what's crazy is I think something happened, not to get hit too historical, something happened with the Canadian government, the Brits or whatever. So the French had to leave and they went to New Orleans. They went to Louisiana. And that was
always there.
I don't know. There was a big exodus from the French Canadians to Louisiana.
No, that was part of what was called Upper Canada.
What?
And I can go back if you really want to go.
We're gonna get into this. We'll do this after the show. We'll start throwing each other.
I will break down the North American historical piece. You're correct that there was a separation, but what ended up happening is the French owned that whole section down to Louisiana.
Yep.
And the two French populaces split and kind of separated out. So they went to Louisiana and Quebec.
So you're right. You're right. But there was French up that were in Canada that had something going on where they're like, we can't be here or deal with this. And they had to go to their other French area, which was the New Orleans area.
Yeah, it was
for one reason or another. I forget.
Probably the weather. I mean, if it was me, that would have been the weather.
No, I don't know. I don't know if I'd like to go.
you would want the cold.
Who wants to deal with gators, swamps, and snakes? I don't know, man.
People. So
in high humidity, hurricanes.
God,
it is what it is. But Jack, how I don't know. I had to step away for a minute there. Did you go into your Raiders at all?
No, just a little bit. Just the fact that again, against Bowles was, Tonka's first sack of his career as a rookie. Finally seeing the field.
Wow.
And, I just don't understand, what, the Pete Carroll's doing. And you get a sack like on the first series and you rarely see the field afterwards. Snowden, who's been a backup all year, he's kind of third string. He played the majority of the game. And, again, I saw him, dropping back and, passes against your team. And you rarely saw, Malcolm Kuntz. You rarely saw Tyree Wilson getting out there. Again, I was telling DZ, I think those guys are probably gone next year. They're both going to be free agents. I don't see the Raiders spending money on those guys to get them back. No. But I will say this, the offensive line, which has been a shambles. Kappa, who I've been calling Crappa all season. The guy who, JPJ has to, compete to get playing time for. So they've moved him now over to center. Again, the week before was his first time ever doing center. And I will say, he actually looked okay. He looked okay. Not great, but not good, but okay. It's the best I think he's played all year.
Jack, is Meredith still banged up?
No, I think Meredith was healthy. They just didn't play him.
Wow. Okay.
Which is really surprising, especially since Meredith is like, oh, you don't have to compete with Meredith, the whole season,
right?
At center. So, again, moving around, shuffling the offensive line, but I will say Carlos Rogers, which is the Raiders' third-round draft pick, at the very end, and he gave up no pressures, no quarterback hits, no sacks, no nothing.
He looked good.
He looked good.
What
was his very first start.
What was
guard?
He played right guard.
No way. Oh, good for him. Wow.
He played most of the game, and he was the bright spot on the Raiders' offensive line for most of the game.
Caleb Rogers.
He was.
Everyone else on the offensive line pretty much got beat, but
why does I don't like he doesn't ring a bell? Like, has he not played at all this season?
No,
not at all. I mean, he got last week he was so upset. He was supposed to play. Like when someone got hurt, grabbed his helmet, ready to go on the field. They said, "Nope, you're not going on the field."
Yeah,
and he's been a healthy scratch pretty much, the whole year. Coach's decision.
312, came out of Texas Tech. He was a third round. Yeah, okay. Wow, dude. So, look, obviously there's a lot of things up in the air with the Raiders organization, like coaching, right? Nobody knows, but that's a good sign that some of these young guys that you guys haven't seen are playing decent ball, especially going towards you guys' future, heading into next season. That's a valuable spot, right guard, man.
Oh, it's very valuable. After all the talk we've been talking about our offensive lines and how poor they've been doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was excited to see that. Now I want to see the other third round, draft pick in Charles Grant. I want to see him get some time on the field. And I was happy to see a lot of the rookies play. Jack Best.
So Jack, I have a question for you though.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the offensive line, and we can get into Besh, who had a pretty decent game too.
Yeah.
But back to your offensive line. Do you think the problem was the transition to the NFL? And I think this is important. And I think too many fans and fanalists, for that matter, even analysts that are crap, because there's a ton of them out there that are just hot garbage. But when you actually look at offensive linemen, those are some of the most difficult positions to transition from college to the NFL.
100%.
Okay, it is, because you are so used to being like the most athletic or the biggest or the strongest or whatever the case may be, and you transition to the NFL and you're just like, okay, I am average. I need to get to above average. Like
Richie, back in the day, or how it's supposed to be, technically, quote unquote, Rich, they're supposed to be treated like quarterbacks almost. When you draft unless you're a top 10 guy, right? But when you draft an alignment, it's supposed to be a draft and develop before start. You're not just picking them up and throwing them in there.
Correct. And so, Jack, the guys you're talking about are third round offensive linemen. There's a reason why they weren't taken in the first two rounds.
Right.
Now,
well, there's a lot of reason. There's a lot of players not taking the first two rounds.
But hold on, though. I mean, my team is riddled with the UDFAs that are showing out. So I'm not one to talk necessarily, but the point here is that development on your offensive line is a thing. And so then the question is that do you take flyers on guys? And I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I'm saying that as a good thing, actually. Did you take flyers on guys that had traits and have you coached them to a certain point now that you've gone 13, 14 weeks where they are now ready for prime time? Is it not possible that they were not ready for prime time earlier and they needed that extra time to develop? Is that like how is that not a viable reason for
there
you?
had to be nepotism involved, Richie?
I think, that has to do with, the who's running the offensive line as a coach and Brendan Carroll. And I think that has to do with the ex-offensive coordinator, Chip Kelly, and Pete Carroll.
Yep.
So, DZ, you got his stats up. Look up, Carlos Rogers, how many snaps he took in college. He had a C on his chest. And I think he had between 3,000 and 4,000 snaps in college. So he's had a lot of snaps.
You're talking about Caleb
I do
or
believe.
Carlos?
Okay, or that Charles Grant, Caleb Rogers.
Yeah, okay, Caleb.
So I mean, he's had a ton of snaps. I just think it's the coaching staff where, again, I talked about it used to be compete, and now you don't compete unless you're a Pete Carroll's guy. So I just feel like I just feel like he just hasn't gotten an opportunity.
And I'm not sure I agree with that.
The first game that comes out, I don't believe they said he was going to play, but he had one bad practice.
So this guy played a full season at right tackle, a full season at left tackle, and then his final year he switched inside. So this guy's got plenty of snaps under his belt, but in 3 different positions in pretty good school, Texas Tech. So he played a ton of snaps.
He's got line versatility, and that's totally fair. But my point here is ultimately this. Quinn Miners was a starter and a solid guard at Whitewater.
Yeah.
But he was a D3 player that the Broncos saw the promise to move up into the NFL and has turned into arguably an elite guard at the NFL level.
But did he start right away? Probably not, right?
Second year.
Yeah, so okay.
They
saw traits. They had good scouting.
Yeah,
their scouts were like, this guy's got the traits. For some reason, he's at a D3 school. Probably had to help his parents or something. He got sick and he didn't get to go to a D1 or come from a small town.
He was always a D3 guy.
But was he not the Canadian guy or the?
He's the guy that he trains in Canada.
Yeah, so that's the guy I'm thinking of. That's why he's a D3 guy. If he was in the States, he wouldn't have been D3.
No. He is an American that trains in Canada because he has an uncle that's up here in Canada.
Well, there's another reason why that's why. There's some weird, bizarre reasonings behind these.
Well, let me turn it around. So do you guys agree with me? JPJ is better than Kappa or Meredith. Yet either center or the right guard.
You pick whatever. You pick it. Put both of them on there. He's probably better than both.
Right. So, but JPJ had to compete.
And
losing his spot to Jordan Meredith, and then had to fight for a spot with Kappa. Yeah. Okay, and then Meredith, who's now healthy, didn't even get a start. Kappa, who's never played center, gets moved over to center and never had to compete for it. So with Rogers, like it's kind of the same thing. I just feel like he never really got the opportunity.
Is the scatteraboo?
It's like unless you're a Pete guy, you're not going to get that chance. And I feel like they've gotten to a certain point with so many injuries that they kind of had to do it.
Yeah, I mean,
and I also feel it's been kind of the point where, I think the nation is said enough about going, come on, play. We have nothing to play for. We are not going to the playoffs. We don't have an opportunity.
That I agree with.
We need to find out what we have. So when we go into next year's draft, we got to know what we have on this roster versus when we don't play these guys at all. We have no clue. And then, we could be drafted in positions we don't need to draft.
Jack, I wonder if like this late stage in the Raider season, right? Whatever your guys' schedule or record is, it's got to be more Spytek coming down saying, I want to see my picks out there, get them ready now so I know what I have to work with going into next year's draft, because your job is not guaranteed, bro. So do me a solid, play them, because like I said, somebody's comment, Pete's out, Kubiak's in. That could very well be the case, right? So I think this is Spytek saying,
Robert
look,
Pena.
dude, you dragged your feet on these guys all season. Or look, even weeks ago, this could have happened, right? And it didn't happen for one reason or another. But
you know what, right there, Ernst, great comment. I mean, that could be, as as we as Raider fans, I think right now it's a 50-50 on Pete being back or not. But I do feel like the organization is 100% behind Spytek and the staff that he brought in. One of Richie's guys that's been on his team for over a decade, Howie Roseman's right-hand man coming over. So I feel like they have more belief in the front office than what we've seen with Pete Carroll and what he's done, having to fire two staff members on an organization this year, which he's never ever done in his entire life. So
I mean, even as like division, opponent, like guy, what they did at the start of the season, and you kind of mentioned it, Jack, could have been a Chip Kelly thing. Why they didn't start JPJ at center, and I think I don't know if we talked about this coming into the season or last year. Like Meredith played, he was like your best guy on O-line, the guard. He was like a great guard, right?
He was rated number 10 at a left guard overall, and he's smaller. He was never been like that run guy, pushing guys around or anything like that. He's never been that. He's good at technician, and he's good at pass blocking. But why they moved him over when he had no experience at being at a center, and they moved him over to center.
So that as a fan, right? You're a fan, I'm a fan, Richie's a fan, right? That was like, what are you guys doing? Like, you have an animal at center, right? JPJ. Mm-hmm. You have Meredith, who's proven to play really well at guard, and they decided to say, screw it, let's flip this all upside down on its head and just
every week.
Like,
it makes no sense.
There's things that we'll never understand. My team does it. I'm sure Richie's team does it. That I just would love to know. Like I think we'd have to be in at the practices or in the rooms to understand why certain guys are not playing. Like I know Raider fans know who Andre James is. I think I heard Captain Jack talking about it last night, and I would give like my left nut to have him start right now over Bozeman. And Raider fans might
don't give up any nuts for Andre James.
But I mean, that guy's been like ready to go, and he has not been given an opportunity, even how bad Bradley Bozeman's played. And they just hold that he's a captain. Somebody gave him a C to put on his chest, and they'll just let everything slide. They'll let this guy give up free
He's
reign.
A good guy, though.
Yeah, this is some BS like that, Richie. And they'll let him, they'll let guys tee up on Herbert and, clean his clock. There's just certain things. And yeah, man, I don't get it. Jack, I'm sure you're just as lost.
No, it doesn't make sense when, just as fans, we're not coaches. We're just fans. And when it's obvious and, and for some reason the person doesn't get on the field, it makes you wonder, like, what has that player done to that particular coach? Or what does that organization see or don't see in that particular player?
I think sometimes it's this too. It's
that, but so I saw the other day on Kay Adams, Justin Simmons, who was giving his commentary on my Denver Broncos.
What's he doing? He's just doing commentary?
He's a media personality now.
Okay.
Now, he is incredibly well-spoken.
By the way, that's Richie's favorite player, guys, for everybody who's new on this chat.
Yeah. So, Justin Simmons, I never had a problem with him off the field, ever. Not even once. Like, the dude is like an upstanding citizen. He's the guy that you want your daughters to
daughter to
marry
date,
for,
right.
for all intents and purposes, right? He is a stellar person by and large, from what I can tell. He does all the right things, says the right things, and is incredibly intelligent. Like do you know what I kind of equate him to? Is a Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I mean, he's got that Harvard
It's like
pedigree.
I am like wicked smart. I'm actually quite good at football, but I just don't have the physical gifts to do the things that I need to do on the field. So I have to play a little different to try to get accolades, and it's not good enough for the NFL because I'm missing the physical traits. And I kind of see Simmons as that guy. He's a guy that knows football inside out, backwards, upside down, like the whole shebang. And because he was never the most physical guy on the field or the most athletic guy in the field, he had to overcome his physical deficiencies with mental math. However, his mental math was, I'm going to overdo certain things to try to inflate my stats for me so I can get paid. And that's fine. I actually don't have a problem with that. It's up to teams to combat that and to work against it.
So he cherry picked essentially, kind of like his play on the field. Is what you're
Correct.
saying.
Correct. And I don't even hold that against him. That's not a Simmons problem. That's a team problem.
And it's a problem for us fans.
Well,
yes.
What is
it
NFL?
is Justin Simmons' problem because he didn't play for any team this year.
That's true, but what does NFL stand for? Not for long.
Not
right?
for long.
So,
Yep.
Yeah, man. I mean,
and so like imagine a guy that plays on the safety position that targets interceptions, does a good job of it every once in a while, but every once in a while equals 7 to 8 interceptions a year or 6 to 7 interceptions a year. Well, his stats are going to show that he has 7 to 8 interceptions. That's looking rather good league wide for the safety position. However, if you look at overall, he's missing and whiffing on tackles left and right because he's overselling the play because he's having to make up for his physical deficiencies. Right? And that's the point. Like, you oversell certain elements of your play. And for Simmons, his issue was that he oversold elements of the play on the field.
Richie, what the heck just happened?
I have no idea.
What happened?
Okay, here we go.
Oh, that was weird.
So someone clicked a button and they shouldn't have. Anyways, I fixed it. So
how do we do that?
Stop clicking. The long and the short of it is every team has a guy like that. So you have a center who might oversell a run, whiffs on the tackle and kills your quarterback. You have a center that oversells a block to the left because they misread the play and then gets the quarterback a direct hit on a sack. You might have a guard or a tackle that jumps to try to get ahead of the edge rushers because they're not athletic enough to actually block them properly, a la the Kansas City guy, right? And every team has a guy that tries to do something to make themselves look better. They have a guy that's trying to compensate for something. The question is, when does their athleticism diminish so much that they end up becoming a detriment to the team or a deficiency on the team, and they get cut? That's really the ultimate question that ends up happening, and eventually, everyone in the NFL becomes a challenge. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, like Deion Sanders, like Antonio Gates, like you're talking like upper echelon Hall of Fame players like first ballot Hall of Fame players that have ended up getting driven out of the league because at some point they just couldn't make up the difference.
It's busy in your neck of the
Well,
woods.
I hope you're not saying Justin Simmons is Hall of Fame, but I just feel like his
Of
contract.
course I'm not.
got too big.
The dude's not even going to be recognized as a player in his era.
There you go. That makes more sense. I just think his contract got too big for your team, and maybe he still wants too much money. Maybe that's another reason why no one's signing him. And maybe you're right. There's that many deficiencies, and him wanting that type of money, no one's going to pay that.
In fairness, guys, the sirens are coming from Jack. He lives in California.
Yeah, they're for me. I live next to a firehouse.
No, but you live in California. There's a whole host of issues there. It is what it is, and we'll just call it at that.
Those are the sirens, for organizational change in 2026, and hopefully get on track with the right type of draft.
Yeah. But I'm going to go into my Broncos against your Raiders, Jack, and then we'll quickly just go on a quick little zip through of Week 15 and score predictions. So, a few big things that I think are really important to bring up in the Broncos game. Bo Nix showed continued progression.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important. And I think too many Broncos fans are not calling that out. I think too many media outlets are not calling that out.
I'm seeing Broncos fans defending him because of how the media has media or opposing slandered. He actually has less amount of interceptions out of our QBs. I think he's only got 8, right? I think Herbert's got 10 or whatever it is.
Yep.
Or more. So
I don't even want to count Geno's because it's like double. Like you add up your interceptions and maybe a couple more than you got Geno.
Yeah, but my point with Bo Nix here is simply he had a rough start to the year, but in prototypical Bo Nix fashion, actually, it's something that is underrated. Is I actually think he has the unique ability to turn a mirror inwards and basically force himself to do better. And I really think that is underrated. Like so many of these top tier quarterbacks they don't look inwards to correct themselves. They simply say, I need to do better, but the team needs to do better, and it's not necessarily my fault. And I think Bo Nix has a unique ability to say, no, I'm the one that messed up. I threw an interception. I made a mistake. And he actually levels himself up and does better.
That's what Justin does. And us Charger fans are like, no, Justin, that was not your fault, bro.
Yeah.
These Muppets in front of you.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah, but I think it's an important distinction because I think too many quarterbacks kind of say, it's not my fault. I didn't do it. And I think they've been conditioned by that in college with the rules and the accolades. And I think that too many of these quarterbacks don't look inwards to say, I can in fact be the problem. Like I can actually be the reason why we lost a game. And I think that also shows in other generational quarterbacks. I think you see that with the Ben Roethlisbergers. I think you see that with Peyton Manning's. I think you see that with Tom Brady's. I think you see that with John Elway. I think that's an important trait for an individual to say, as good as I am, 1, I can do better, and 2, I'm not perfect, and I'm actually an infallible person. I make mistakes as well, and I have room to grow still. And I think that's an important trait to have for an elite level quarterback.
Especially a young guy.
Yeah, exactly.
And I will say this, he has to look himself in the mirror a lot of times. When you have a top-rated defense, the way your Broncos have that defense, you have a top 3 offensive line. So you can't sit there. He can't sit there and say it's this guy or that guy or any other guy when everyone else is on the upper echelon of their play. So yes, the league is going to be able to look at him easier and go, okay, if you are not doing this, Well, I'm just glad he is like saying, yes, it is me. I'm glad he's saying that. But it makes it really easy when you have all these other great players around you. Yes, you're going to have to put it on yourself.
Yep.
Where again, you can have a guy, okay, I'll say like, if we take Geno last year, he was top 10 of almost everything. Now he's got the crappiest offensive line. And Geno's all put it on me. But you know what? He really isn't putting it on himself. He's just trying to blow it over. And I like the way Bo Nix is like acting mature. And he's actually looking in the mirror that way. But it is more difficult for him where, again, like a guy like Geno could be really a scapegoat going, oh, look how bad my offensive line is.
Right.
Look how bad we are here. Bo really can't do that. Because, again, you just got too many good players around him where it really is, it singles himself out. And, as a young man, I'm just glad that he sees that, though.
I agree, and I think that's an important piece. What we need to start seeing is what we're seeing from Bo this year, which is he has made progressions every game thus far, and really in the last 4 games of the season, we've seen a continuous step up of his play and recognition of what actually needs to be done to win. He has stepped up in the pocket. He has done certain things that he has struggled with. And I think as a feedback loop for Bo Nix, what we've seen from him is his efforts have actually yielded results. Whereas he has done the things that need to be done and he's won. Like he's won games as a result of it. So,
well, look what he's done. I mean, Bo Nix has done something that only John Elway and Peyton Manning have done in winning, 9 games in a row?
10.
He's one of 3 guys. I mean, that's 10. A great class to be in.
10.
Oh, 10. Okay, 10. I wasn't sure.
10.
Almost impossible to do these days.
But in today's NFL, 10 games as a win streak is impossible. Like literally impossible. Like it is like that is the Mount Everest of things to climb. Like,
I mean, no team's gonna ever be undefeated.
No. And the one thing that Bo Nix has shown is the grit to bounce back and have a short memory, which is a unique trait as well, especially for a young guy. That is maturity. Like that is a level of maturity that is rare. And I think that's an important piece to note as well. But not just to call Bo out, but the Broncos have also done something a little different with our offense in the last little bit as well. We've pulled back on Troy Franklin. We have dialed up Pat Bryant. We have dialed up Lil Jordan Humphrey.
Saw that.
We have adjusted our offensive scheme to be more gritty and to do certain things that just simply work in the NFL. And I think that goes to Sean Payton. I think that's a chess move on his behalf, something that he needs to be credited for. And I think that also shows that there is a recognition that despite Bo Nix really liking Troy Franklin, because he's a buddy of his, like a long-term college teammate that he's going to want to, back and stand behind. I think that shows that the coaching staff recognizes that winning is more important than personal relationships in the NFL.
Yeah.
And only a guy like Sean Payton with this ownership group can do stuff like that.
Well, and also, I will say this, for Bo, it's like when it comes like the third and crunch time, he's going to his number one receiver for him comfortability. It's not Franklin. It's going to be Cortland. Cortland always comes up big. It's kind of like for like DZ for like your team, with forgetting his name for, I'm sorry, Keenan old man Allen. Moment. Yeah, Keenan Allen. It's like, consistency, consistent, good players that are going to be there in the right spot at the right time and be beyond that yard a game and get you that first down.
Sorry, Jack. That's where I disagree with you. Is Troy Franklin is almost always open. Almost always. Franklin's issue is not route running. It is not getting open. It is not any of the weird things that typically are plaguing wide receivers in the league today. Troy Franklin's problem is that his hands suck.
Well, he didn't have one catch in the Raiders, Bronco game.
I think he had one, but
this is why I'm seeing Broncos fans.
Oh no, you're right. No, I take it back. I apologize. He had 3.
Looking to see if free agent
for 11 yards
next year. I keep hearing
right, but I actually don't have a problem with Troy Franklin. My issue is, at some point you need to look inward in yourself and say, I'm not catching the football the right way.
He's got the QJs.
Yeah, and he needs to progress. He needs to elevate himself. He needs to push himself. He needs to stop being the diva wide receiver saying the problem's not me, it's how it was thrown to me, or some stupid crap like that. At some point it needs to be, I really should have caught that. I get paid to catch a football. And I think that's a problem. I think that's something that Troy Franklin needs to work on. I think he needs to be able to learn.
Every week, Richie. We're like, come on, man.
Yep.
Yep. And before I forget, in the show, we're starting, getting later in the show. And I got to say this because, Jack Besh, who's been the Raiders' second-round draft pick, barely got used this year at all.
I know.
And he had one catch with Geno, but he was six receptions on 6 targets, 50 yards, 8.3 yards, a catch. So it's good, again, wanting to see the young guys get into the game and start playing. And I need to see more of it. So he's got when you said Troy Franklin with no hands, I mean, this is the opposite of it. As a receiver who dropped, 2 balls, I think, last year in college. So it's like, I'm glad to see, those young guys get on the field and a player that doesn't drop passes get out there and actually get the opportunity to catch something.
Jack, that's another stupid move that bugs me, is that it's been almost damn near the whole season before Jack Besh can be a consistent guy out there.
Right.
That is just so batshit crazy to me. Like, you draft this wide receiver weapon, which, Bowers missed time, right? And Jacoby was doing his thing, got traded and all this thing. And, you go, look, you got this guy right here, man. Get him on the field. And you need reps. You need to build chemistry with your quarterback. And, that's another thing. If I was a Raiders fan, I'd be livid about.
And you could, you as just seen it from the outside in, and seeing that. And that's a frustration about what I was mentioning earlier. Again, we're just fans, right?
Right.
But as fans, when we see these type of things happening and they're not happening, it doesn't make any sense. So I will just say this one last time, and I'll let Richie finish out. Pete Carroll is compete for your job if you're not a Pete Carroll's guy. If you're a Pete Carroll's guy, you don't have to do any of that. So I'll just leave it at that. Richie, go ahead and finish up on Franklin. I'm sorry to jump in.
My gut reaction on him is that he needs to spend the majority of the offseason on the jugs machine. We've seen him improve this season, which is fine, but we've seen him regress at the same time. And these are things that you would expect a second-year wide receiver to have overcome in his first season. So the question is, can he actually look inwards and be honest and move past his own deficiencies and improve upon them? If he can, I think he has a great career with Bo Nix, because it is undeniable that there's a kind of like a telepathic connection between the two players.
I mean, they've got chemistry. So
they have legit chemistry. It is undeniable. Like Bo Nix is throwing the ball to Franklin with anticipation, and Bo Nix typically struggles with throwing with anticipation. It's just that Bo Nix feels so comfortable with him that it just works. The issue here is Franklin is letting Bo Nix down. And we need Franklin to start catching with his hands rather than his body. and he needs to be able to just reel the ball in appropriately. And the faster he can do that, the better it is for Bo Nix and the better it is for Troy Franklin. Because Franklin has the ability to run all of these great routes. He showed massive progress between year 1 and year 2 in terms of route running. I've not given up on Troy Franklin, but he needs to learn to catch with his hands properly. So my advice to him is do whatever it is you need to do and get yourself to a point in the NFL level where you're catching with your hands and not your body. Because catching with your body at the NFL level might work for the onesies and twosies. You cannot do it in the bulk of your time when you're catching the football.
I feel like you're
It does
talking
not work.
to Quentin Johnson. I feel like this is like a pep talk for him.
You
So-
know what? And I got a question for you guys too. Since your teams look like they're going to make the playoffs,
Yeah.
let's say the season ended today. Out of all the teams out there in the American Conference, which one makes you the most nervous if you had to play them?
I have I have an easy one. Well, you look at the playoffs because then the Chargers are going to have to travel, obviously, just from where they're seating at. I do not want to. I do not want to play in Denver, but at all. But the team that makes me the most nervous is for some reason the Jaguars have this team's number. They just their OC just has he can do things. And look, there could be an excuse for this just because playing, playoffs kind of present a different thing, right? Like teams get a little more pumped up and, the team probably looked a little flat going in Jacksonville. So, but yeah, I don't want to play the Jags or Broncos, but like as it sits right now, I think it'd be like Chargers would be going into Pittsburgh playing the Steelers. And I honestly don't mind that this season. Like I know that Rodgers had a good game, but they don't scare me. It would be tough at home, but they're still a decent team. Just they're not on the level of the Broncos with that defense. And then honest, I hate to say it, all these teams scare me. The Texans, God, no thanks. With that,
Where did they come from? It's like, damn.
So they're like the Bronco light or vice versa. They're like 1A, 1B to the Denver Broncos, essentially. That's how I feel about them with defense-wise, kind of keeping them in games, essentially, and then the offense, is just playing complementary football with them. That's just how I feel like they've just had QB.
And one thing with them, did you see what they did this weekend? They played 6 offensive linemen. Instead of using a tight end, they used 6 offensive linemen.
Who did?
The Texans did?
Texans.
Well, I think they have huge. I think this week, Jack, they had a worse ranked offensive line than the Chargers by 1. They were 32nd. Chargers were like 31st. That's
Jack. So did the Broncos, though. The Broncos played what is referred to as the heavy set against the Raiders.
Yeah, I think that's 13 personnel or
no.
But he's saying no tight ends. That's what.
No. You play what would be the equivalent of 12 or 13 personnel, but you sub out an O lineman for the tight end.
Yeah.
And by the way, in that situation, the reason why that's relevant is that lineman is often eligible as a receiving guy.
And the only reason I'm saying those teams, like I don't know, picking them like a little bit over Denver is just because the Chargers have familiarity with Broncos. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean that they're any worse of an opponent. I just feel like they would know each other a little well. The Texans and Jags, they don't see the AFC South that much. So, but yeah, those teams, all 3 teams, yeah, no thanks.
All right, so Richie, who makes you nervous?
AFC wise.
Again, season end today. You got to play one of these teams out of all those teams that make the playoffs.
What about
who is it?
You wouldn't see the Patriots first. No.
No, it's not in the order that you're going to play them. It's just at any of the teams at this given moment that makes you nervous.
Yeah. How do you think you would match up with the Bills? Their defense is kind of ass.
Texans, Jags, Bills, and Patriots.
Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah.
I think that we would match up better against the Patriots than people think.
Yeah, probably with their offensive line.
Yeah, and I think that our D line is unique, right? Like Nick Bonito, even against the Raiders, the announcers are like, that dude is like mind blowing. Like they were just like, I don't understand.
He had 2 sacks.
Wait, so Broncos haven't played the Texans yet, right? Okay, that's going to be fun.
No, we won.
You did? Oh,
I think we won.
You did.
They did play. Damn it! Why am I not missing this? Oh, that was Davis Mills, guys. I like the way they look with Mills over Stroud. I think Stroud just not having.
We beat the Texans with Mills over Stroud.
Yeah, but I still like Mills. Stroud just doesn't do it for me this year.
No, but I'm just saying we beat the Texans with Mills over Stroud, which would further elevate the Broncos based on your comment, right? So
who had more sacks, Will Anderson or Benito? That's what I want to know.
Anderson, I think, did.
They're both just killing
it. So Benito, I think, is 11 or 12 sacks now.
Let's see if sack leaders looks like
that's it at this point. Dang, he cooled off then, because he got 2 against the Raiders, and I know he was on fire in the beginning. That like looking like the NFL record was going to be broken easily.
He got cooled off in the middle part there, but then he started to come back now recently. The benefit that Benito has right now is Ellis has come back from injury. Jonah Ellis. I think you've heard me talk about him on the show before.
Mm-hmm.
Jonah Ellis is a unique cat, man. He is like, if he can come back and actually play to where his potential is, he's basically like, the Broncos have like a 4 or 5-headed monster on the offensive line in terms of the outside linebacker position.
You do.
Like Jonathan Cooper and Nick Bonito are like 1A, 1B in terms of sacks and stuff.
Should we do her? Can I do the top 10 in sacks real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Number 1, Myles Garrett with a whopping 20 sacks. That's
wow. Wow, 20 at this point. He's definitely going to have the record.
Brian Burns with 13 from the Giants. Micah Parsons with 12.5 with the Packers. Nick Bonito with 12.5 with the Broncos. Danielle Hunter, 11 with the Texans. Josh Sweat, 11 with the Cardinals. I didn't see that one. Byron Young with the Rams with 11. Will Anderson. So the other Houston guy with 10.5. So between the 2 Texans, that's 21.5 sacks. And then number 9 is Thule for the Chargers with 10. And number 10 is I can't even say his name. Al-Quandin Muhammad, 9 with Detroit. And then it's Max with 9 as well. But that just goes to show you, where's the other Bronco? He's got to be on there. There you go.
Jonathan Cooper.
7.5. He's at 17. He's tied. There's a 3-way tie between 15, 16, 17 with 7.5.
Yeah, so let me ask you, wasn't Burns and Sweat both on the Eagles last year? Were both those guys the edge?
Yes.
So there's your difference in their defense from last year to this year.
But Jack, the other thing to keep in mind on the Broncos is that we also have Zach Allen, who's at 6 or 7 sacks. We also have Tillman with like 5. We also have Jonah Ellis with like 3. We also have McMillan with like 4 or 5. He was a cornerback, by the way, not even a linebacker.
Yeah, you guys like to rush the cornerback a lot.
And so And so, like, the point is on the Broncos is that we're bringing guys from all over to then get to the quarterback, and they're winning. And I mean, we have Benito and Cooper and Allen and Malcolm Roach has started.
John Franklin Myers was 7.
Yep.
Ellis is 5, and then Tillman 5.
Right. So, like, look at how close those guys are to that, like, middle tier of the league.
Yeah, you guys are. Yeah, as a defense as
all
a
over
whole,
the place. Yeah.
Richie, as a defense as a whole, that's really good, man.
Right. So we have.
I will say this as a fan. If I was a Broncos fan, that would just be so much fun to watch. I mean, just guys flying all over the place, taking quarterbacks down.
I mean, that's you pick your poison, man, of who you want to try to block.
So there's about 6 or 7 guys across the Broncos defensive line that are within like the top, I think, 20.
I mean, look, 4 games left. I mean, it's a tough schedule, but like that'd be pretty cool to see them all get double digits or like something like that. That would be insane.
Well, the Broncos right now still lead the league in sacks, if I'm not mistaken.
Has Broncos country, have they given this defense a nickname, or is it too early for that?
Well, Broncos country in my circles gave the defense a nickname in week 2.
Was that the Orange Crush?
No, Anonymous Crush.
Anonymous Crush. Okay, because people weren't.
The Orange Crush was in the past.
So Anonymous is probably going to have to go away, right?
They're not anonymous anymore, that's for sure.
So that's what I'd like to see, because famous defenses throughout history in the NFL, like we'll see what the Broncos do, especially with
but DZ, this is why it's so important though. At the beginning of the season, not one person knew most of the guys in the Broncos defense.
True.
Yeah, outside our division, but yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
They weren't household names.
And now you have JFM, Nick Benito, Jonathan Cooper, like
they're doing a really good job feeding off each other. That's damn impressive. Like just pinning their ears back.
It's one of those. Yeah, it's just one of those things, right? Where
I gotta see what your guys' run defense then is ranked, because this makes me think that the run defense is probably not as good.
I agree. I would agree with that, because I think again, Denver's a little lighter than most.
It's above average, but not where you'd think it would be with a defense that's producing like that. But overall, this is kind of what makes or breaks a team, right? Which is like you need to start stepping up. You need to start improving. Although the Broncos defense is starting to get guys back. We're starting to get guys healthy. Jonah Ellis, as an example. DZ, you said 5 sacks.
Dude, it's still cited as a second or third best.
Really?
By opponent rushing yards per game.
Can the Broncos do something wrong for once?
I guess not. Well, look, and I don't want to be petty and say these are skewed. I'm going to just throw a little dash of pettiness in there, but there's like a caveat to this. It's their schedule is their 4th place schedule. But I don't want to take away from any of their accolades that they've achieved. What's up, Dwayne? Bolt up, buddy. But I don't want to take away their accolades that they're doing, because they're still doing, playing at a high level. So there's that. That's just the one little probably thing I could probably throw out.
I can't even do that, because the Raiders are playing a 4th place schedule and they've only won 2 games. So
yeah,
it doesn't matter. You take every win, whatever you guys can get for this whole season. Unless you're the Raiders, we don't want any more wins. No more.
Top defense. Top 1, 2, or 3 defense and all metrics, I would say. Top offensive line, 1, 2, 3, or, put them in the 5. There's that. As helping him. And Bo Nix is, on that path of progressing, right? He's not falling off. It's just now you look at it, it's your pass catchers and your running game are the only things that are kind of holding this team down for probably being freaking elite in my eyes.
Well, and DZ, you know what's scary? What's really scary is the Broncos have like $40 million in cap space next year to address all that. You look at all the players they re-signed, the core players, they got $40 million to spend next year on weapons.
That was smart what they did, where they were keeping some of these guys around. So, yeah, I'd wonder, maybe some of these Bronco fans might be onto something about bringing in like a Waddle or something. Oh God, please no, because
No, don't even say it.
I mean, a Waddle with Sutton, damn, that'd be scary. Yeah, man, it's exciting times for Broncos country.
It's one of those things that was 10 years in the making almost, right? Like, if you're going to be honest,
you've seen all the quarterback struggles. That's
so this is the kicker, right? Which is, I've been a Broncos fan for, through thick and thin and all that kind of stuff, and I've seen all the stuff. 2015 was the last Super Bowl win, which, I mean, let's be honest, Super Bowl is a pinnacle and it is rare air for most NFL teams, but the Broncos have a historical precedent that has been set where
Dude, you guys been to the Super Bowl a bunch too. People don't realize.
Yeah.
I think they're like tied, or they have some of the most losses at the Super Bowl. That's how many times they've gone.
Yeah,
that's like, okay, man.
So that's a winning culture, right?
I think they have like 5 or 7, don't quote me. I can look this up. I think they have like 5 or 7 losses at the Super Bowl. So that, I mean, you add that to their wins that they've had at Super Bowl. It's pretty impressive for the organization that just got bought out by Walmart. God damn it.
And let's also not forget, overall, that Denver, Colorado, overall, while it is a major city in the U.S., is not a major market overall, if you're going to be honest.
No, probably not. No. It's
like,
a very regional. That whole area, it's all regional. You pull, like, you got New Mexico.
You pull from a lot of areas.
Yeah, you got fans in Utah, like Montana. They're all rooting for you guys, man.
But I'm just saying overall, though, like, generally speaking, it's not New York, it's not LA, it's not Las Vegas. No. It's not like any of those major markets where, like, on the eastern seaboard there of the US, or the western portion of the US, where, like, Denver, Colorado is slightly east of the western markets, but then it's like not east enough to capture like New York, etc.
It's kind of like, I mean, there's a lot of sports teams in Colorado, like, that just, the Avalanche just won. They're doing really good up there. Except for the Rockies, they suck. The baseball team is horrible. I think they just got new ownership, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100, but other than that, pretty storied franchise there. It's like, kind of reminds me of like OKC, the basketball team there. It's kind of like they're great, but where they're at in the country, they kind of get overlooked, and then people are overlooking them sometimes at the wrong time, and you're like, oh crap, here they are, they're in the playoffs.
Yeah,
now they're in the Super Bowl, and you're like, God damn it.
And Richie, I do have a question for you. So let's just say Russell Wilson was on this team. Do you feel like they'd be like in the same position? No, I know you don't want them, but again, just the development of Bo Nix. Do you feel if Russell Wilson was on this team, they'd be where they're at right now?
No,
I don't think Russ would be good for development. I mean, unless he's.
I'm thinking Bo Nix. I'm just saying Bo Nix has developed, from his short time being in the NFL.
Ooh.
So I mean, that just kind of shows then how important a quarterback is.
No,
but your franchise.
But I do wonder if we may have gotten to where we're at sooner, and we'll never know, by the way. But I do wonder if we had not signed Russ, but kept with like Stidham and say Zach Wilson as like a 2-year deal combined, like for both as 2-year deals. I do wonder where the Broncos would have been if Russ was never on the team, because Bo Nix, I think, is a great player, and I do wonder if we had let him learn more from guys that were not selfish. So Stidham is not a selfish player. He's a genuinely good guy as a backup guy. And I do think that Zach Wilson showed himself to be a team player as well when he was with the Broncos. I do wonder where this team would have been if we had drafted Bo Nix as a Sean Payton guy, but kept those other two quarterbacks on for a full 2 years when we brought them in. I do think that Bo Nix would have had a little bit more time to mature and not like have to like go through like the quote unquote baptism by fire. And I think that that would have yielded perhaps a more mature Bo Nix at the NFL level. And I wonder if we might be even further ahead than we are now.
Where
And
is Zach Wilson even playing? I haven't heard his name in a while.
yeah. So, anyways, that's kind of my big kicker here. And I actually sort of agree a little bit with this comment here, which is I actually do think that Sean Payton is holding back the offense.
So you think you might sprinkle some of that magic dust on playoff wise? Like,
Yeah, and I think part of the reason is Bo Nix has only just started to come out of his shell. And I think that that is I don't know where I'm struggling as a Broncos fan as to like balancing out the blame. I don't know if this is Sean Payton not trusting Bo or if this is Bo struggling and then Sean Payton holding back. And you're talking two sides of the same coin, right? Like I know exactly what I'm saying, but I do think it's fair to assess as a Broncos fan looking at the scenario in terms of what we're seeing here, which is Bo Nix has certainly shown the progression in these last like 3 to 4 games where he's stepping up in the pocket. He is using his feet better than he has in games past. He's actually progressing better. And I don't know what the reason for it is because earlier in the season, Bo Nix did not look like the same player. So my question is this Bo Nix actually self-assessing and properly self-correcting himself? Or is this coaches pushing Bo to say, stop acting like an idiot and play better? And two things might be true. The two might be in tandem, right? Where the two things could be happening at the same time. But I do think that Sean Payton is truly attempting to put Bo in the best possible spot to win as many games as he possibly can and to try to maximize the team's success. And undeniably, by the way, since Sean Payton has been with the Broncos have done almost a 180 almost immediately. So, if anyone wants to try to say Sean Payton's the problem,
No,
like,
Sean
like
Payton's up for the coach of the year,
yeah,
with the Patriots head coach.
like I'm sorry, like the answer to that is just no, like just no. So, anyways, that's kind of my overall take on the situation overall. Um,
And
et
I
cetera,
was
et
one
cetera.
last thing I will say about Bo. He did not have, maybe because the game was so far out of reach, and you doubled like the time of possession
We
and just
did,
ball
yeah.
control, running because it wasn't Bo's arm that got the big win, but Bo did not have, which I've seen in many of the games this year, he did not have the happy feet.
Nope.
He felt cool, calm, collective in this last game.
Yeah.
should we get into the scores?
Yeah, let's get into scores for upcoming week. So
Yeah, give
I
me half
think
that.
let's quickly jump over to the Broncos real quick since we're kind of already talking about it. This is Broncos Green Bay coming up
There's
this
a
week.
wild stat about the last time the Packers won in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
It's been like forever, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So my general take on this game is the Packers are a much better team than I think people are giving them credit for. But the Broncos are also a much better team than most are giving them credit for as well.
Agree.
So this is I said this to a group chat that I have with a bunch of Broncos fans, like pretty much the top Broncos podcasters. We're all in this like massive group chat together, and My gut reaction on this is about a 50-50 coin flip.
That's the way I pretty much have it scored right now.
I have
Yep.
this as a coin flip sort of game. That the Packers are too good to discount, and the Broncos are too good to discount, and they're literally in this like even,
I want to
race
say the
game.
last time that they won, and I'm shooting off from the hip here, it was like 2007. The last time the Packers won or something in Denver, some like crazy stat. It's been forever. Yeah. So I'm just gonna go with my score and my reasonings behind it.
Go for it.
All good things must come to an end. Broncos are on this crazy win streak, and a loss wouldn't be bad for them right now, to be honest with you. This is what I feel like good teams that do things in the playoffs, they need a late season loss to kind of get them going. But look, there's also some practice reports with the Packers with some of their players kind of banged up. There's that too. I've got this pretty even, like Richie said, coin flip game. I've got Broncos 20, Packers 21. I got the Packers squeaking this out.
I wish you can see this, DZ.
Put it up to the camera. But yeah, I got them squeaking out. Just there, like it wouldn't be surprising me if the Broncos win at all.
No,
like it would not be surprised. Like, oh, they won their 11th game in a row. Like crazy. But that stat I saw about the Packers and the heater the Broncos are on, I'm like, something's gotta meet, and I think this would be the perfect opponent for it to happen.
Yep. And DZ, you took a lot of words out of my mouth, so I'm going to say everything that DZ and just add one other thing on top of it. If there's going to be a team when it's this time of the year when it's cold, the Packers know how to play in cold weather too. So it's not like one of these warmer weather teams going up to Denver when you can have snow, and it's in frigid. The Packers are used to that as well. And it's crazy. It's like the over-under is 43 and a half. Denver is actually a 7.5 point. They're giving Green Bay 7.5 points. So Denver's definitely the favorite.
Wait, who's what? How?
Denver's an underdog in this game.
No, Denver is the favorite by 7.5 points.
No way.
No.
There's 7.5 point favorites at home.
That's what I looked up earlier today.
That is wild. That's a huge spread. Whoa.
Yeah, that is big, but I still see it as a coin flip like you guys are talking about.
Wait, so
that's the crazy thing, DZ. You even called my score. So just to repeat what you just said, I have it Denver 20, I have Packers 21. To win 11 games in a row, it's just, if you said that before these games were played, we'd be like, no way ever can that be. So it's like they got to lose at some point.
Wait, so Vegas must know something that we don't know. I mean, it must be that stat that about Denver about Green Bay not being able to win in Denver.
I don't know.
That's crazy. That's a lot bigger. I would have thought that.
I would have thought it'd been a lot closer, but
I would have said 4 points, maybe 3.5. That's wow. I did not know that.
The game started off with the Packers being a 6 or 7 point favorite.
I just looked that up literally a few hours before I came on the show, just getting my notes down.
Okay, well, I still agree with you.
Well, either way, it's like DZ. We picked the same score. 20.
Paul says
20 to 21 Packers.
Jack, Glenn Paul says Packers are 2.5 point favorites.
I don't know. It's like you go on different sites, you see different things, right?
Okay. That's
I have the Vegas odds right here, which is a 2.5 point favorite from Vegas, which is actually down from a 7 point favorite. So, Jack, my gut reaction, I'm not trying.
Maybe I saw something that was older.
I'm thinking you just didn't read the stats right. That's my gut reaction here. The Packers started as 7 point favorites or so in this game, and I think the odds have come back to Denver being narrowing the gap.
Dude, even 7 seems bizarre, especially going against the Broncos. Like Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, Michael, he says, look, he's like, it was never said, no, they didn't. Like, he's having a connection.
That's not what
Hey,
I heard.
Michael, I don't know, man. That's what I saw earlier today. Just looking up, odds.
So Michael, my look into the game was after Sunday night.
Whoa,
Like
Michael.
after
relax.
Sunday, my original look at the Vegas odds was like 7 or 6 point something odds in favor of Green Bay. Those odds have swung back. The pendulum has moved backwards.
Yeah, there's public money. There's all kinds of stuff that's going
Right.
on.
Where the Broncos versus Green Bay game is now only 2 to 2.5 in favor of Green Bay.
So Michael says it opened at 2.5. Okay. I mean, look.
That doesn't make sense.
That
So
makes more sense, but 42.5, I saw 43.5, so.
Michael, I'll take your word for it. I'm not a huge gambler, but look, there's so many different sites that open up things, so who the hell knows? But either way, give your scores. We got a couple other scores to get to.
Yep.
Right.
So,
You're up, Ricky.
Jack, what's your score for the Broncos Green Bay
I
game?
got exactly. Again, DZ called it out. I got Packers 21, Denver 20.
So this game here, I would typically actually agree with both of you.
But there it is.
These last few weeks, the Broncos have been able to overcome hurdles and other things that I frankly didn't expect. At some point, I agree that the luck needs to run out or whatever the case may be, and we'll see where that lands.
But it's not this week.
I'm not willing to say that the Broncos will lose to the Packers at home. I think that we have the thin air in our advantage. I think we practice in thin air, which is a tremendous advantage that I think too many people are overlooking.
Dude, both these organizations were a pain in my ass my whole childhood.
Yeah.
So you want to tie
So my score is 24-21. I think the Broncos score a field goal to jump them ahead. I think that Will Lutz has been clutch.
Coin flip. It's essentially
and again, I stay consistent with my previous comments of coin flip game. This is last minute walk-off field goal or some variation of it, where it becomes a 24-21 game here, where the Broncos pull ahead.
So let me ask you real quick: when there's a coin flip, like with your kids, family, sports, what's your first instinct? Like, what do you call? Heads or tails?
Heads.
I'm a tails guy. I'm tails. I'm like tails never fails. That's why. That's cool. I just want to know. You guys are heads guys. I'm a tails guy. Cool.
I always look at the coin. Whatever you see, that's on the top. When they flip it up, I just go the opposite because it seems to work out that way.
Okay. Cool.
So, and this is the first time, guys. I will say this: we all had the Packers at 21 points. First time we've done this the whole year.
Yeah.
Where we've all had exactly the same score for one team.
Yeah. So I'm at 24 Broncos, 21 Packers. I do think the Broncos defense is the tipping of the scales here. I think the Broncos defense has shown over the course of this season that they are not just very good but elite in the league. Like it's kind of scary where the depth on the defensive side of the Broncos is. And what's even scarier, guys, is like 99% of the defense is coming back next year.
That's not good.
That's not good.
That's annoying. That's annoying.
And then add on to that the draft and other things. So my point overall is that I think that there's a synergy.
Fuck yourself, Denver.
Yeah. So I think that I understand where you're coming from. I totally get it. But I think there's a synergy that comes from a defense that's cohesive like this. You have a unit perspective, like you have a collective cohesive unit that's together.
You better get the second coming of Andre Giant and his kids on this offensive line in LA because I'm not dealing with this shit next year. Just
So
getting
you have Jonah Ellis, you have Donde Tillman, who's likely back. You have um, uh, Jonathan Taylor and Nick Manito. You have all of the 4 edges for the Broncos that are coming back. You also have Johnny Walker, who, rather than being just a great bottle of booze, is also coming back for the Broncos from IR.
green or
Who
blue label.
All right, Richie,
showed
enough. I don't want to hear any more of this.
Yeah,
That's
he
next
is
season.
we're not.
he's a, no, but my point is
Take
that
your wet dream with you tonight when you go to bed. I don't need to hear this crap
look,
anymore.
it is what it is, and but the point is that you have developmental guys that are standing behind other guys that have shown out, that are like, it's a system that the Broncos have developed, which, to their credit, is showing results, and
They're,
it is what it is, and so
they're, they're building
it's,
something, man.
yeah, so it's something that is undeniable, and it's important.
All right. So
Bandwagon.
what do we got for the chart? The big game is the Chargers versus Kansas City. What do we got there?
Okay, so let me do my notes. This is the only team the Chargers are going to be facing that are below 500. The Chiefs, as we know, are 6-7. This is an early game for the Chargers on the road in KC. Chargers are coming off a short week, though. Monday night, overtime game, lost 3 players that did not practice today. Right tackle Trey Pipkins, Elijah Molden, safety, and Darius Davis, our kick punt returner, who kind of happy that he's out because he's lost a step, and I don't want to see him on this team next year. The Chiefs are desperate, as we know. Need to check the practice report, but Mahomes is coming off a 3 interception game, but that's against, as Michael put on there, one of the top defenses, the Texans. All that being said, I've got the Chiefs 24, my Chargers 21. I got the Chiefs taking this, and just to put some more drama and controversy into this effing season that doesn't need to be there, I've got them still holding on to whatever that percentage is. I think it's like 17 or 12% they've got going. So, yeah.
I'm going to give my score real quick with a super fast commentary. I have 19-17 Chiefs. I think the Chiefs beat the Chargers in this game. I think the Chiefs are angry, and I think that the Chiefs DC is coming out with something to prove. He has failed the team the last few games, and I think that he needs to show he still has it. I also think that this is a divisional game, and I think you have 2 teams that are in combination of, and not necessarily equally, by the way, injuries and desperation.
I think this is, you might see another like Eagles Chargers game kind of, because look, I think the Chargers defense has been like, hey, we want some of that too, and they're coming on as of late and looking pretty damn good. And yeah, if they smell blood in the water with Pat, they're going to be doing their thing. But it goes on the other side too. I mean, Kansas City's probably smelling blood as well.
Yeah,
right. So,
and that's where I see for the Chargers, with 2 offensive linemen going down for KC, which is again one of their Achilles heels. They're not a great running team, and what I said earlier tonight with the Chargers, they have found ways to come back and get wins. So they figured that out, and I love your coach. And again, I see the Chargers taking this game, taking it to KC. I got LA winning, 23-20.
If they did that, they'd be sweeping the Chiefs this year, which would be pretty spectacular.
Unbelievable, huh?
And that would probably be the final nail in the coffin for Kansas City. That would literally seal it.
We'll do it. Put that nail in that coffin.
Look, I have to think that Herbert's probably pissed from his performance on Monday night, and I bet you the pass catchers are pissed as well that they didn't get many opportunities or getting shut down. And I don't think the Chiefs defense is on par with the Eagles defense, but they do have a great play caller. You know, we got Fangio, got Spags. Look, we'll see, man. We'll see, but I got the Chiefs by 3.
And I think the Chargers are looking at it this way too. They need to keep pace with the Broncos and
good point.
and also move up in that position. You know, not only in the AFC West, but just the AFC overall for playoff position. So they got more on the line. So again, that's why I got the Chargers. You know, pulling this one out in a squeaker.
Look, it's totally fair and it's totally possible when you're dealing with a divisional game. Just my gut reaction is quarterback coaching combination. I just like the Chiefs are still not fully down to the bottom of the mountain yet.
No.
And I
they're
do
a
think
lot better than what people think they are.
Yeah, they are. And the kicker is that they have a quarterback that is truly still generational and a few key pieces, and you're going to be cursing their names again for sure. And so I think that is underrated overall. The big challenge for the Chargers is their tackles. And so if Spags keys in the edges on the Chargers offensive line, I think that will make Herbert's
best
game
guy
difficult.
right now is Karlaftis and another guy. I don't think it's Chris Jones this season. He's still pretty good. Last time I checked, I think he was like ranked number 40th as of like last week. Like, so it's obviously not the Chris Jones that we remember and know, but he's still very dangerous.
Still stuff to run.
To be honest with you guys, I feel decent on the left side for Justin. It's the middle where Chris Jones is going to be lining up, and it's the right side. So that's where I've got all my
Yeah. So Jack, we've given all our predictions for the two games, the Broncos and the Chargers. Let's go ahead and get your Raiders in, and we will close out the show with that.
So the Raiders are playing the Eagles this week, and I'm just hoping that, you know, again, I want that draft pick at this point in the season. There's nothing to really play for except for pride. I hope they never give up. Hope they play hard. I just can't. I can't pick the Raiders to win almost anything anymore, because every time I pick them to win, they don't win, and I'm always right when they lose. So I'm going to choose the Raiders to lose again this week against the Eagles, and it's still not going to be even a close one. I got another double-digit win by the other team, which I think literally 70% of the games the Raiders played have lost by over 10 points or more. I got the Raiders 13, and I got the Eagles 26.
Yep, that's pretty similar to what I had, Jack. I had 27-10 Eagles. I think the Eagles bounce back this game. I think that the Raiders make it competitive because of your defense, and I think that there's a bit of a pull away as they double team Max and figure stuff out on the offense/defensive side in terms of their offensive line versus your D line. I think Max is I don't care what anyone says. Like that dude's like insane.
So if the Eagles get back Lane Johnson this week, that's what you got to look for. He was missing last week, so if he comes back, that's not good for the Raiders. I know the Raiders aren't trying to win, right? You know, you guys are in line. Let's keep it short. I got the Eagles 28. I got the Raiders 13. I like Pickett. I think Pickett's gonna, you know, do some good things in this game. And but dude, that Eagles defense, guys, like they were all over our pass catchers' asses, man. Like flies on crap. It was nasty. So
yep.
Good luck.
Yeah.
You know, have fun. Don't get any D batteries thrown at you while you're in Philly.
So general consensus is I think we believe the Broncos are going to win. Like barely.
No.
We had the Broncos losing
by one point.
Okay, so general consensus is that you guys think the Broncos are going to lose because
Chargers
obviously
will lose.
the Chargers will lose and the Raiders will lose. So
So everyone's going to lose this week.
Except
so
for the
no,
Chiefs.
no. So we're thinking that the Chiefs are going to win, and the rest of the three teams, as a general consensus, are going to lose.
And then Nick Wright has an erection on TV, and the Chiefs are back.
We're going to see, because, I will say this. I'm the only one that chose the Chargers to win versus KC, so we'll find out.
Right. So I think the Chiefs will win. I think the Broncos will win, and then I think the Chargers will lose, and the Raiders are going to lose. So I have like a 2-2 like divisional win-loss ratio, and I think the rest of you have a 3-1. So it'll be interesting to see kind of like where we land. For those of you in the chat, where do you think our division is going to end up at the end of this week? Who do you think is going to win and lose? What do you think the score is going to be? And if you have any questions as to why you think we're crazy or not, leave those down below in the chat. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. Our handles below for the most part, except for Jack, who doesn't believe in X at all in any way, shape, or form. Our X handles are below here and our names. You can reach
Glenn
out to
Paul,
us.
I would love to know why you'd rather have Easton Stick over Lance. So let me know.
So reach out to us on X. We are happy to engage. I love having good faith dialogue with fans just like you. Like and subscribe to the videos here that you see on the channels down below. We go live every single week and talk about our AFC West, including offseason and draft. So anyways, guys, where the West Side's the best side, this is the Wild Wild West podcast. See you next time, where the West Side is the best side. Peace.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Tempo's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast's racking up the flight miles. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle.